When you see the documents we released today, it's going to go on every language on this planet.
For a second, this is the 10th Keshe Public Teaching Workshop, and we're ready to begin here. And we have Mr. Keshe from the Keshe Foundation, as well as many of the knowledge seekers from the Spaceship Institute, and many other people from all around the world that are watching this this 10th workshop, and it promises to be a bit of a blockbuster, I think. So let's get started right away. And I'll just turn it over to Mr. Keshe, and he'll have a few things to say and lead the discussion here. Mr. Keshe, would you like to begin? Or would we like to introduce the spaceship people?
Yes, please introduce them. We know who they are.
Okay. As far as the Spaceship Institute people, we have Armin and John and Marek and Marco and Yukako, and who am I missing out of that bunch? Maybe one or two other names.
Me.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I'm one of them.
Mehran Keshe, the leader of that gang of, group of knowledge seekers. And
we have Jorge here as well.
All right, Jorge, is that the name? Sorry.
Jorge. I can't pronounce his name. It's easier to call him Jose. Jorge from Spain.
Okay, good. And then on the go-to meeting, Vince, could you sort of say who's there, or shall I? I do know.
No, we have Ahmed from Boston in the U.S. translating to Arabic. We also have Charles translating to Chinese. If anybody else is translating, could you please speak up on GoToMeeting and introduce yourself? Thank you.
There's some other people that are also translating. We have Ahmed that's translating in Arabic, and there's Spanish.
We need him because there's some information here that the Arab world has to know and need to know.
Right. We've also got, we have the Chinese translation, as we know, and there should be also a Bulgarian going out. And, of course, as soon as this program gets out, there will also be transcriptions and translations into many languages after that as well. Okay, would you like to continue, Mr. Keshe?
I would like to welcome everyone on all the channels and everyone who's listening. And at the same time, today is the first time we present a workshop as the original team of knowledge seekers from Italy. What we promised for a long time, and we could not achieve it in Belgium. It has taken us more or less exactly to the week, in 1 year, to establish and set up the institute to teach to every man on this planet the technology that our goal to share knowledge freely can be achieved. We released patents. We informed the governments, and now we are teaching what we call the teachers of the next generation. the knowledge seekers around this table have enough within them to translate and start teaching in the coming months to those who want to learn. The procedure we have put in motion is that knowledge seekers, they can introduce themselves very soon if they want to. And from day one, we have not held back anything to them or from them. So much so that literally any technology, more or less, that we could remember up to today in past 2 weeks has been shown. All systems have been displayed or been given to them to see. And they have already started producing the first batch of materials to be shipped to Fukushima. So, Yukoko in the Fukushima workshop of last month has received some collaboration or some requests from Japanese people and organizations that they have received some materials Yukoko can explain. And now we are developing the nanomaterial we think is correct to be shipped to Japan to be tested by them independently. The whole purpose of this workshop is when we showed the material about Fukushima last time, how to produce it, a lot of people wanted the proof of concept, or if this is real, or how is it possible to produce nanomaterials so easily. In the documents being released today and is in process of being uploaded on the internet, we show that we have been in possession of papers, research papers, which has been done by leading institutes around the world on these materials, which we have given to them to verify and test. And these confidential reports, which we've been forced to keep away from public, now from today are in the public domain, which means there is no restriction for us to release any paper publicly, because as of now that the Keshe Foundation belongs to the world population, any contracts signed as the non-disclosure in respect to these researchers, it belongs to every man on this planet. So we are all keeping a confidentiality with it. We won't talk to each other, but we can read it on the internet. So what has been forced deliberately by certain people to be kept away from public in so many ways to discredit and rob the foundation of the information and technology for the World Peace Treaty, now we are releasing. What this means is that we have been in possession of report done by a leading nanotechnology organization in the world, confirming the detection of SP2 and SP3, this is nano-layers, as far back as 2006. This report written is released in its totality. And this is a copy report because the original report is totally different, plus addition to what we have released, confirming that SP2 and SP3 is produced in such a simple way on the electrodes you see in the Coca-Cola bottle demonstration. What has happened is that the institute which the electrodes were given to test at the time in 2006 considered and made an allegation to that we use plutonium and uranium and gamma sources to be able to produce sp2 and sp3 in open space as the way we have shown. And they used this false accusation because of their own lack of understanding, at the same time trying to steal the technology to keep us from releasing the information through all sorts of threats. Today we are releasing the full package of this report. And in reality, once it's loaded, you will read it. The report written by the leading nanotechnology group in the world, released on the 6th of July 2006, reads in a simple one of its paragraphs: we observe a spectrum that corresponds very well to one of ACH or one of glossy carbon, but with B implantation, i.e. with many defects. Following Yoshikawa, this indicates the presence of sp2 carbon clusters on the sample. So in July 2006, we already knew we can produce nanomaterials at zero cost, but we were back down not disclosed because of certain personal interests which we will disclose. And in the same report, we knew it verbally now, but it had to be written in a different way. It reads, if there would be sp3, we would expect a sharp peak near 1343 centimeter. That's in the graph. This is not the case. However, we cannot exclude the possible presence of sp3. Its spectrum might be covered by the 4 sp2 defect line. But we were told prior to writing this report by the scientist who did the report, she has found sp3 indication, but she cannot explain it. So what we talk about nanomaterials and GANs, which is the gases in nano state, was achieved and was developed fully by the foundation in 2006, independent testing by an organization known as IMEC, IMEC, the leading nanotechnology organization in the world. And we have posted the reports, which says IMEC confidential. It is confidential, but as the foundation is owned by the world population, please keep it to yourselves and don't talk about it to somebody else. This is what is going to be. We'll explain these releases. So, what we released as a Fukushima program, last workshop, to be able to decontaminate with a proven technology by other scientists around the world that nanomaterials can absorb or can separate the radioactive materials, has already been confirmed nearly 8 years ago for the foundation. But we could not disclose it because of the threats which was made by the company, IMEC, and its lawyers, which will disclose the details on the internet, to gag us because of their own private interests. At the same time, in another report done by the Belgian nuclear SCK, you can see the confirmation of the absorption of the carbon on these electrodes by independent investigation and testing of the SCK, Belgian Nuclear Center, same electrode the following year financed by the Belgian government. The interesting point is that if our technology and the production of sp2, sp3 in the report done by IMEC was so bad and incorrect, how come the following year the nuclear center and the Belgian government for the second time want to test this material independently and spend 3 months and a couple of million euros in developing it or testing it. So it's not the conspiracy theory. This will show how a couple of people within the structure of the Belgian government and the nation of Belgium are holding the rest of the nation to ransom for their own private and sexual behavior. This will disclose very soon. I think their coalescence is there to support what we say with names and not. It is important, it's absolutely vitally important that the technology, like what we are releasing, stays free for mankind and not to be controlled by some. And if you don't comply, they try to do all sorts of things to you that they force you to do so. Today, we release documents. These documents is done by the knowledge seekers independently, and in fact, we put the case and the documents to them early this last week or late last week for them to see they are not here to waste their time and work in a dream. The technology has been well tested and proven within the Belgian government, and more, as they found out the more they can do, the more they try to rob and threat. We have disclosed the name of the people who made the threats. And we have released in these documents, once you read it, the name of the organizations who are leading institute within the European Space Program, which in their report or in their emails confirmed are prepared after examination to invest between 300 to 500,000 euro of their own money because they know the technology can be correct and can be developed. And this is done in 2005. We're going back nearly 10 years. We kept silence very much out of the fear of assassination by this gentleman. It's called Mr. Hans Brackenier. Mr. Hans Brackenier, he is known within the political structure of Belgium to have ordered and organized murder of a number of scientists, or has pushed scientists to leave Belgium if they would not hand over the technology to him. He is or was at the time the lawyer of IMEC, which has done the independent research on SP2, SP3. Werhard, a space program research technology, which we have released their emails to confirm. He's been at the same time the lawyer of IWT, which is the Flemish Institute for Financing Research. At the same time, he is the lawyer of WITO, which is the nuclear section of the Belgian structure. And now this criminal has made his way to become part of the European Space Agency directorship, which means now not only me who's been threatened to be killed, and he has been told by the police organizations and politicians within Belgium that he has caused the death of a number of scientists. He has found his way to European Space Agency. Now we start seeing assassination of number of scientists around the European if they do not give the technology to him freely to be benefited by it. I do not see, because I have a witness and we have put it there, Mr. Hans Brackenier to be head of the space agency, European Space Agency, when he has criminal records even within the courts of Belgium. What he does, because of his closeness to this apparatus of the government, he has been given a special police force within the federal police to carry out assassination and forcing and pressurizing scientists to give their technology to him. If you go on the company list of the Belgium and some other foreign countries, you see Mr. Hans Brackenier to be directors of a number of the companies with the leading technologies in space and energy. 90% of this is not done voluntarily. He has forced the scientists to hand over their life work. And if they don't do like me, openly on the paper on the table, he accuses others to or will assassinate you. We have put his name down with 3 witnesses on the table when he's made these threats. And the whole problem with the Keshe Foundation started, had to literally hide everything, when Mr. Hans Bracknier, who is, he calls himself the gatekeeper of the ex-king of the Belgium. I do not know if he's still a gatekeeper for the present king, to disclose and to threaten us, and he uses a national security to disguise his criminal activities. As a scientist who's been threatened by him, I request, if you are anywhere in the world and from United Nations and Interpol, to investigate the criminal activities of this man. He's an animal, not a scientist, and he's not a man. And I would like you to approach anybody you can, European Space Agency, for opening the criminal records on this man. He should not be heading and be part of the head of European Space Agency. Because now he's found his way to kill and maim and force scientists to give technologies to him. He has an organization as a consultancy, we have disclosed in Belgium, that people go to him to consult how to develop technologies, and he uses this company as a hotspot to get access to technologies to get what he wants. So in this workshop, we have to know why a lot of us are suffering with Fukushima situation, where the technology was well known for past 10 years and in our hand and in the position of mankind. So what I ask, not only as an individual, but as a man of science, for the arrest of Mr. Hans Bracknier for carrying out murders, organizing and carrying out threats and harassing scientists around Belgium and in Europe. This point has been put a few times through the Belgian parliament, but it's been blocked because most of the politicians in Belgium know of this activity of this man, but they're afraid of his threats and what he has done or he can do to their families and themselves. So out of Belgium, we open the book. I put my request to you. If you're a press person, go and check this man out. He's a criminal and he has to be taken out of the cycle of the advanced technology that people like me and other scientists like me and even like their persons and even like other scientists who we know their persons online can tell you that they've been harassed by just going to IMEC for development or going to different companies that they end up on the back of the Mr. Hans Bracknier. And we know they can tell you there is a scientist who's given his black box for energy production. And I do not know if he's still alive. He had a cancer. And he never saw his technology through. So we have, as world population, as people of this planet, which working for the betterment of all of us at the same time, like being to able to distribute this technology freely the way we did with Fukushima, not to be strangled and to be stopped by people like Hans Bracknier and the police force of Belgium who are embedded to support him. We released the name of the police officer who's a leading organizer for carrying assassination. His name is Mr. Delanois. This is not the first time I release his name. In one of my original releases, I released his name. He's the gentleman who arranged and has been present in 2 of the assassination attempts against my life. He's a criminal. He's based in the police station as a federal police with the support of a fraudulent prosecutor in Kortrijk district of Belgium. But in fact, he carries he supervises all the assassination and all the extortion through the police force of Belgium. He is a rogue officer. We've been told by other federal police officers who are investigating other murders that they know him as a criminal officer. His name is Delanois. He's based in the federal police of Belgium. He has made 2 direct attempts to kill me personally, and he is present when assassination attempts are carried out. This was the reason, that's why we left Belgium the last time he was present as a team of 8 people to assassinate, create a condition that it looked like an accident. And the day before, the man who was to carry out assassination as a police officer attended my house with a hat on his head. We know all his identities. You do not go into a man's house as a police officer and keep your American cowboy hat on your head. And all the time when you're present in a meeting. We got him profile read by our security, and his name came out as assassinator. And the following day, he attended the president in my house with Mr. Delanois. After I wasn't home, Mr. Delanois running out of the street, and he's been video cameraed. So I asked for Interpol and United Nations for the arrest of the scientists, for the arrest of these 2 gentlemen for assassination, planting assassination, and creating false position for scientists to release their technology. Mr. Delanois now is on the 2nd track in Belgium to discredit, and now he has started threatening the supporters of Keshe Foundation in Belgium that if they do not collaborate, he'll organize their arrest. I request from the federal police and Interpol, and in fact, I request from the Court of Den Haag for the arrest of these 2 people, as they cannot be touched in Belgium. They are protected. And the protection is done by the King of Belgium. The benefit from these terrorist activities goes directly to the house of the king, the last king who resigned. This present king we cannot touch, and we never talk wrong about him. We have nothing to do with him. But the last king has been involved in a number of criminal activities, which is always he has claimed immunity from any critical and criminal cases as he's the king. King of Belgium has files within the French police force, and he is claiming immunity continuously not to be prosecuted. And Mr. Hans-Breckenier and legal advisors like him are keeping out of the reach of the law. One of the reasons the King of Belgium abdicated last year, the Belgian people can tell you, was because he had to give a blood test through a court proceeding because there is a girl in London who claims to be his daughter. And the blood test had to be given, and the courts were forcing for this blood test, or they were trying to get the order through a court that the king gives a blood test to confirm the girl is his daughter. And he preferred to abdicate and give the blood. So we have a new king. But the reason for this abdication, in fact, is that there are so many sexual behavior, child abuse, murder of children by the King of Belgium, which are pending for a blood test for years, and this would have opened the Pandora box to open the behavior. So he preferred to abdicate, but not giving the blood test, because this test would have been used in the criminal cases, which are pending and go nowhere till they have a blood sample. So the country has lost the king through rape of children, murder of children, and he claims protection. The same as we are opening the condition for a World Peace Treaty, the people who see and the people who use these positions, like Mr. Hans-Breckenier, using the weakness of the king, just in case, if anything happens, he's got an insurance policy. As of today, his insurance policy is expired. We request, as a people, if you're French, if you're Spanish, if you're British, if you're American, if you're from Northern Africa, Arabic speaking, the 2 children which were missing in Belgium some 10 years ago, and their bodies found raped, young girls, which were returned back to Morocco, all these are the murders carried out by the king and nobody can touch. I'm prepared to go to prison. I'm prepared to stand the sentence by death if my case is wrong. The Court of Justice was not made for the African leaders and the people who they do not suit the other countries. The Hague Court has to be just. And we request for the arrest of the King of Belgium. And if he's innocent, he can show his case. He is as much guilty of child abuse as was Saddam or African leaders who are standing trial in The Hague. This is not accusation. There are politicians, and I request the French president, His Excellency, to open the cases of the French children which is gone missing, and the court cases are sitting for this king. He is not a king. If a father rapes his child, he is put into prison. King is the father of a nation. There should be no difference as a man. He resigned the kingship not for the girl to accept that he has a descendant. He should not be ashamed. A lot of kings have offsprings. The reason the blood test was not given, and he preferred to have the case, most probably with the advice of Mr. Hans Braconier, was these tests would have allowed the cases, court cases pending around the world against his murdering, raping children under the age of 10, 12 years old to be opened up. Now, as Keshe Foundation belongs to the world population, we demand and we request the Hague Court of Justice for the arrest of these three people and the people within the Belgian structure who are protecting them. The king and the layman should be judged equally for their behavior, and there is no difference. I cannot go any further. We are prepared to disclose. I have Mr. Dirk Lorentzens, who's a Belgian. He's a brother to me. We've worked closely together for nearly 10 years. He can tell us in the meetings where the leading Belgian politicians have told us that they are aware and they know of the criminal activities of Mr. Hans Braconier. There has been a question mark for a long time. How come IMAC is the cause of scientists leaving Belgium? Now we know. Mr. Hans Braconier. He sits and he's positioned himself in the leading scientific organizations in Belgium, and now he's brought himself to international level in the European Space Agency to literally benefit his pocket and the people who support him. He should not be ahead of and in the European Space Agency, because now we start seeing German scientists disappearing, French scientists disappearing, Dutch, God knows, any nationality which he cannot get the technology, which is literally obsolete. With the new space technology which we have released, the present European Space Agency is obsolete. In the past 2 weeks, the knowledge seekers are with us. We have given and put all the reactors available to us openly on the table to them. And there is nothing hidden. They have seen the simplicity of the technology. They have seen how they can do simple things, and they've been asked within the next 30 days, within the month of March, to achieve the first lift. You've seen how we produce material for nanotechnology. It's the same simplicity with space technology. When you see the documents we released today, it's going to go on every language on this planet. Is that, for example, on the 25th of November, when the federal police came to my lab and they seized and locked up my material and left it to me, there was strange things happening. This was to discredit the Keshe Foundation on the 26th of November, the following day in Eindhoven. But we did not disclose. We disclosed for the first time in these documents. The following Monday, 48 hours after Eindhoven, the Federal Police of Belgium at high speed through to try to roll over my car on the motorway between Ghent and Antwerp. That was the first open assassination on my life, organized by Mr. Hans Brackenier, because all these systems are made by IMEC. They have made IMEC as a terrorist organization threatening scientists in the front of the advanced nanotechnology in the world. If you are a scientist in IMEC from Korea or any part of the world, be aware you are not safe as long as Mr. Hans Brackenier and people in that organization are there. You are good there as long as you can give them the technology, and you have to go and backtrack how many of you have disappeared. My arrest in Canada, 11 days incarceration, was not done accidentally, was well organized and orchestrated through IMEC. We can submit documents. We did not talk, but now we open the book, there is no limitation. I go back again. I request, if you are listening to this program on any nationality, write to your government, write to United Nations, send an email to ssi@gmail.com. Or you can use a Spaceship Institute @gmail.com. We collect the documents and we forward it to the authorities. I do not think I received a fair hearing in Den Haag because the tentacles of these criminals reaches too far. These criminals have been judged in the courts in China or in Tehran. I'm an Iranian citizen. I demand my justice in my country. Then I'll get a fair hearing and fair justice, because in Den Haag a lot will be covered. I put a very direct question to His Excellency President Obama. If King of Belgium is so safe, why none of the American presidents have ever met him with their families in open? If you go to newspapers between 15 to 18, 19th of January 2012, the top 4 newspapers in Belgium, there is a 4-page article, which in this 4-page tells you that different kings and royalties in Europe have had so many public meetings in the year before. Like Queen of England has something like 50, 60 public presentation meeting. Dutch Queen in the same kind of region. King of Belgium, numbers 2. This means the whole royal family in Europe are aware of his behavior, and they want to meet him with their children and their family. This is not allegation. This open. Go to the Belgian press between 15th and 20th of January 2012. It's a 4-page document. Why a king of this country, which is the center of Europe, Brussels, Belgium, has only needs and been seen in public twice because of his criminality. World leaders are aware of his work, but to keep the European Union together, the rest of the European nations and the world are paying for it with the lives of their daughters and the life of young ones. There are mothers in France who are waiting for the girls to come back for the past 30, 40 years. There are children in North African countries, the parents waiting for the girls to knock on the door one day. There are people in Spain who are waiting for missing children. There is a mother in England waiting for a 5-year-old daughter to appear for past years, and she's been accused of killing her own children or her own daughter. Look too far. All these bodies, I found 4 of them some years ago in Brussels, in the garages and in the basements. They all are and sit within the palaces of Belgian monarchy. Not necessarily in Brussels. In the mountains where the king came to see me. We have released a picture of the king and the queen of Belgium last year, where by accident the king happened to be where I was writing my 4th book, in a little shop, in a little cafe in the nonsense. Coincidence don't happen. The same as when we released the knowledge and we showed the first space reactors on the 3rd of December, the following day, the American drone was captured, and on the same date, on his anniversary, on the 3rd of the following December, second American spy plane was captured. World governments are aware that this technology is correct. World governments are aware that will bring the change. The change has to come without pressure. The change has to come through and amongst the people, amongst the scientists, and be shared by the world population. This is not a talk, this is not a rhetoric, because for this reason now we have scientists sitting around this table from Japan, from Czechoslovakia, from Spain, from Russia, Afghanistan with American citizenship, from French Belgium, from Slovenia. And we have a doctor who's not with us today, and as you said last week, he'll join us again. So the team of knowledge seekers will dispose of all the information and filter all the information to you on a weekly and daily basis from now on. All the talks on the table are recorded that in the future they can use for teaching. I do not make this workshop or presentation of scientific work without a reason. Because with me around this table are people who have seen documents. And they have done their own version and translated it into their languages, which we posted across the internet by close of business today. We have released signed research papers by these institutes. It's not an allegation. I have a dear friend of mine, Dirk, on the other side. He can confirm to you, if he wants, I will allow the floor to him, to explain what we've been told by the politicians, French politicians, that they're aware of the criminality of Mr. Hans Brackenier. Then you understand this is not an allegation. The gentleman who is a member of the parliament of Belgian government, when it disclosed that the two girls found by the true case were killed sexually, he's been removed from the parliament because unknown to a lot of people, the fingerprint of the life of the King of Belgium is within the body of these girls when they were found. This would have disclosed that the king had to do something with their death through sexual abuse. Hunger, as the second document, was fraudulent. And when this scientist, this member of parliament of Belgium, had the documents and he was about to release, he's been put all sorts of pressure. He's been removed from the parliament not to disclose one thing: the fingerprint of the King of Belgium in the body of the two dead bodies. This king is not a king, is a criminal in the clothes of a king. I am standing, I know what I stand for. We've been told there is a plan, a third plan for my assassination. My security people, they call it the red alert. I had a full brief in the past days. So I asked the people who protect and are with the foundation to join us to protect us. Not for my life. I have no fear. I've been through 3 assassination attempts by the Belgian police, Mr. Delanois, organized personally. It's a very simple. You think it might be an accusation. There is a file within the court of Belgium. Dirk can tell you the gentleman who made the threat against us is the same gentleman who was involved in another assassination and killing of a Russian woman. And is the same gentleman who made a threat about other scientists who was in Iraq. As I told you, he's dying of cancer. I don't know if he's dead yet. Dirk can tell us. This officer has carried out all the intimidation and terrorist activities against the scientists who do not give way to Mr. Hans Brackenier. We reported to police for the threat we received. And in any criminal law, you can go to the courts of Belgium in Kortrijk and open the file. When you make a claim to the police that there is an attempt or a threat against your life, the investigation directly goes to the man who you are accused of. Strange enough, the Federal Police of Belgium took a year and a half before interviewing him. They interviewed every dog in Belgium, but not the guy, because he already has a pedophile record in the Far East, having 10 and 12-year-old boys on his lap. So they use criminals and they approach simple scientists for their own benefit. So in fact, a bunch of pedophiles have taken over the world of science in Belgium, and now we all become terrorists because they do not get what they want. I repeat again, I request and I demand from His Excellency President Obama, you have 2 daughters. You understand what it means. There are mothers and fathers waiting for their children to come back home, which are buried within the palace of the Belgian kingdom. Put their mind at rest. Because your children can be victim of this man and his allies very soon. European Space Agency, then NASA. How many more scientists do we have to lose? How many people do we have to put on exiles to satisfy the sexual hunger? A man who calls himself a king and the entourage who use this weakness to achieve what they want. We should not be imprisoned by these people. The technology is so beautiful like this should be at the free and at the reach of every man. This technology, when we said will create water and energy, will create the materials to stop all the needs of man, is now in the hand of scientists around this table and around the world. You will read the company Werhart in an email which we have released today, a copy of, I go to it that I'm exactly quoting the right thing, that I'm not out of line. In their email, dated, the date of the email is 30th of May 2005. After they investigated the design with me, we have even for the first time today have released the finger blueprint of the whole system set up by the leading space organization called Werhart in Belgium, who investigated the design and the credibility of this technology, which this design to support our work was on the key which was given to the world governments last year. So now you see part of the blueprint of a full system in the report which is getting released. In the email of 30th of May 2005 at 15:21, sent by the managing directors of the Werhart. Werhart is a leading, they produce and they have hand in most of the satellites for the European Space Agency. Here I read the last line, you can read the rest on the internet. The budget currently estimate is apparently between 300 to 500,000. So it says Werhart is willing to invest his part of development of first prototype of the reactor in bracket for energy production with the following conditions. And the conditions is IWT, Mr. Hans-Bracquenier, another part of, because Werhart, he is a lawyer. And scientific partner like Vito, which is again Mr. Hans-Bracquenier, collaborate. So you see and you can understand that if an organization like Werhart, after working for 3 months, is studying every aspect of the technology after report by Professor Van Overmeer of the University of Brussels, is prepared to spend 10 years or up to $500,000 of their own money, This means the technology for power production has been correct for past 10 years. So now the reality is we are not hiding anymore. If you are happy for us to open our technology that you see how it can be used for Fukushima, the way you are expecting us and we are working to give you the power generator, now you have to expect the same, and we expect the same from you to support us, to allow to keep this technology open to worldwide population, with literally cutting the hand of these thieves on the name of monarchy, head of scientific organizations, which has started nesting in Belgium. You call them Illuminatis, you call them Rothschilds, you call them Masons. We invite you for collaboration. Doesn't matter what flag you carry. And I'm sure most of you in these positions of Rothschild family, Illuminatis, what you call Masons, whatever, you're all fathers and you are responsible people in the society. I'm sure you do not like to lose your daughters to the pleasures of a mischievous, what so-called king. Join us as a team. We have not released this technology to destabilize the world. We have released the technology to stabilize the world, but through unity. World security should not be touched, but world armies to cause death has to stop. The technology has to be used for advance of man and not for gagging and killing the scientists who try to develop it. Now it's not in my hand anymore. Now there are 8 scientists from around the world around this table. At the moment 7. We'll have 1 more 6. I consider myself maybe as a scientist. And we are releasing the technology. I am not a terrorist, but I'm a scientist who's been terrorized by people like this. So we made our statement clear. The knowledge seekers have released the detail and will release the details across the internet. There is no way this is going to be stopped. We have an Arabic translator. My message to you, to the Islamic world, to the Arab world is very simple. You have lost children to the King of Belgium and you returned 2 girls back to Africa, to North Africa, because they were abused by the King. How many more have we lost? Arab, Chinese, English, European, they have no mercy with this and the people around him. When the King finishes with a child, the leftover as the crumbs are handed to these people like Mr. Handbrackenier for their pleasure. Now you understand the structure. How they have to keep the secret of each other in power. One crime feeds the other. I am prepared to stand in the court of Den Haag or any court if I'm not assassinated within the next 7 days by organization which is set up by Mr. Delanois, Federal Police of Belgium, a criminal, the way he organizes things, to stand my judgment if I'm wrong. And I ask for the fathers and the mothers who have lost their children and they could not speak up to now. Diplomatic immunity cannot breach the boundary of killing children. There is no immunity for murder of children, girls for sexual abuse by a king and his entourage. Go to the palace and ask for your children. Put it on the table to French government. Open over 50 cases of abuse against the king. This is in the public press. It's not something we announce in hidden or secret. Go on the Belgian press and you find out the king abdicated when it came apparent or the girl in England was, the mother of the girl was claiming she wants a blood test to prove that her daughter is the blood of the king. He preferred to abdicate than to give the blood to be tested, because that would have opened a flood of criminal cases against him, which is sitting in courts, and his claim immunity. Because the immunity was, as long as I don't give a blood or any samples, it's not me. I haven't done the crime. We asked for that blood test, and let's see what happens. This is our statement. Please read the documents, which is how many pages? 46 pages, released by the knowledge seekers of the foundation, and posted at every place you can, and accompanied with this presentation. It is very clear. We demand, as the world population, investigation directly into the behavior of the king, the ex-king of Belgium, is called Albert II, Albert II. Mr. Hans Brackenier, the director, and now sitting as one of the 5 directors of the European Space Agency, and the police force assassination team, Mr. Delano of the Kortrijk Police, Federal Police Section. He trains, he's a trainer for other police officers how to kill. And he trains on a weekly basis in Brussels other police officers how to assassinate. And he's very proud of it. And I tell you this because he told me, but at that time when he told me, I couldn't understand how I'm receiving a threat. And if I'm wrong, please go back to documents of the courts in Belgium where a Russian girl was assassinated was shot dead and the house was burned down. And the officers who were investigating that murder, because it was done by the same guy as who made the threat against my life, they informed me of the misconduct and the criminal activities of Mr. Delanois. They could not understand how such a criminal officer is involved. They were shocked. So, there's nobody in the Belgian police. Belgian police is not a criminal organization. But these people use the cover name of the king to discredit, and they use the police force built in to carry on the assassination and the pressurizing of the scientists. IMAC is well known for pressurizing scientists out of Belgium. Nobody knew how. Very simple. Internal lawyers of all these firms, IMAC, Whittle, Werhard, IWT. Even there is allegations in the newspapers of Belgium in 2003 and 4 that Mr. Hans Brackenier has a conflict of interest, which is a criminality. And we were told by the First Minister of the Flemish cabinet he was kicked out because of criminal activities. But he has a protection of the king, never comes out. We were told by our lawyers that Mr. Hans Brackenier has a criminal records from the university time. He is a well-bred criminal on the content of the lawyer and now the head of European Space Agency. I demand for his arrest, and if you're correct, you should do the same before we lose more scientists. I thank you for listening to this, and I hope it reaches where it has to. Any questions?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Keshe, for that. And yes, let's open it to questions from people.
The title, before I forget, the title of the document is getting released today is called The Unknown Truth About the Keshe Foundation.
English version is uploaded.
English version, I've been told, is uploaded. And Rick, you've received the link on the Skype. You can send it to anybody you like.
Okay, thank you. I see that, yes.
Can you do it as fast as possible before they block anything?
Okay, we can put it on.
Can I ask Dirk if he wants to say anything at this point? Hello?
Dirk, you may have to turn on your microphone in order to speak right now.
Or has he fallen asleep?
Well, he's not.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
I was making a coffee. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Okay there.
Yes. Okay. I want to.
Would you like to add anything? Because
Sorry?
please, let me explain. Dirk has been present in, let me explain something there. Dirk has been present in all of our meetings with all the officials. So it's not me. You have a Belgian citizen who can confirm all or most of the meetings. Go ahead, Dirk. And before you start, I thank you for your time.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now, okay. Now as a Belgian citizen, it's very difficult for me to say something about the former King Albert II. So, indeed, there is a certain parliament guy called Laurent Louis who has opened some files about pedophilia in Belgium. Okay, and he accuses a number of noble people to be involved in those cases and murders. Now, the other interesting point that Mr. Keshe points to is Hans Brackenier. Hans Brackenier, you have to know, is a famous lawyer in Belgium who promotes himself as being the specialist in Belgium of technology transfer. So you can read it on his website. He's the middle of a large network of juridical persons and a network that is also involved with the lodges, the Masons in Belgium. The history of him was that he's a very prominent person in the Liberal Party, Open VLD, and he has an incredible network. Through his connections with the Masons in Belgium, he was able to be... Yes? Hello? Yes? Can you hear me? Hello, hello?
Yes, we can hear you fine. It's coming.
Yes, go ahead there.
So, because of his influence in the Liberal Party, Open VLD, he was able, a number of years ago, to become the head of cabinet of a minister, of the Belgian minister, Patrick de Waal, who was at that time the Secretary of State or Minister of Interior Affairs. Interior Affairs means that you are the controller, let's say, from the government on the police forces, internal police, but also secret services. So you know everything. So you can make a file if you want through your contacts in your network about a person. And I'm absolutely sure that he was the guy who made a secret service file against Mehran. So that he was able to make a file claiming that Mehran, Keshe, was involved in terrorist activities because he was an Iranian. You see the network, how a network can work. So, but after some years, it was clear that Hans Brackenier was corrupt, completely corrupt. So he was forced to resign by the government, so was fired. So there must be tracks of that fireman, why he was fired. So that's very interesting. And I think that his involvement through his network, through the Open VLD party, Liberal Party, he was able to infiltrate or to put himself in fantastic positions in the technology sector in several ways. Even on his website, you can see that even he is the technology transfer specialist who is involved with American army companies like Margareta, Lockheed, all those companies that are involved. So the link between the arms and war people is very related to this guy. So it's a dangerous guy, absolutely. And because of his connections, being a couple of years the head of cabinet of internal affairs, so his influence on the police is very strong, and probably is still very strong, because he will probably has put some of his friends inside during the time that he was head of cabinet. He could put in some of his friends of his network into the police forces and give them important positions where they could influence and work in the favor of Mr. Hans Braquinier. So it's a very, very strange network. And I remember that Mehran, when I met him, he explained to me what happened on the board of Verhard. It's a company that now is taken, a space company. I think they have one satellite in the air. It's a cube. It's the kind of cube. Now, Mehran told me at that moment that Verhard was and the lawyer of Verhard, but was also, he proposed to be the lawyer of Mehran. So at that moment, he would be on two sides of the contract. And that's the way this guy works. And then Mehran refused it, and at that moment, Verhard said on a little paper, gave it to him, to Mehran, and to his wife Caroline, a little paper with 4 names. These people have interest to kill you, he said. That was on the paper, and then he took the paper back, and he showed the names. That was what Mehran told me. I don't know, I was not there at that moment present. But another way that I was informed by other people was the way he puts himself in the technology, IWT, it's called, Institute voor Wetenschappelijke Technologie. So he was a lawyer there, and when a new file from a new prototype was given to IWT, he forced the people to pay him 5,000 euros to give him juridical advice. So you see the position he puts himself in. He says, okay, your file will not pass. We will not accept the demands for funding of the prototype if you don't pay me 5,000. You see, so that's a very sophisticated system Hans Braquinier used. And he did the same when he was head of cabinet of Minister Patrick de Waal, Minister of Internal Affairs. So you see the network that is around. And then comes a guy called Mehran Keshe, and he says, sorry, I don't play your game. And then he was fucked up, that Hans Braquinier. So, and then the other relationship of Hans Braquinier being for a couple of years as head of the cabinet of Patrick de Waal, influencing the police forces, it was very easy for Hans Braquinier to put his network from the Masons and also from the police in work to block new technology. So that's now about Mr. Delannoy. One day we had a case of a counterfeiter, a guy who wanted to steal the technology of Mehran. He was very, very excited about technology and called himself already, I will become the richest man in the world. So at that time, there was a game like, he accused Mehran of not delivering the technology, And there was a contract, but I made the contract, and the guy needed to pay. His name was Ad van den Elshout. So Ad van den Elshout, a Dutch guy with a golden tongue, he can lie. It's incredible. He's a real master in that. So the police started to investigate this. So I received a call from Mr. Delannoy, who asked me for an interview. So I went. So Delannoy with one of his colleagues came to my home, and I gave all the documents where it was clearly shown that Mr. van den Elshout was a crook, was a thief and a liar. And at that moment, everything that I proved was like thrown away. It was not important. And Mr. Delannoy, in my opinion, really protected that Ad van den Elshout. Because, of course, this was not fun in the favor of Mehran Keshe. So you see, there was a really very strange game going on against any logic you can imagine. So you know it is like that.
Can I say something there?
Yes, okay, Mehran.
Can I say something? This
Yes.
is the guy who I mentioned earlier. It took a year and a half before they interviewed the criminal.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Before they interviewed him.
Yeah, but Mehran, what is important is that Hans Brackenier, he wanted to block you, and he had all his old colleagues sitting in his network of police, secret services to make files against you. And then you have the other game, that those files of secret services, they are distributed through the secret services. So when it's once it's in the computers, you cannot take it away. It's there. It sits there. And these secret services, they work together in Paris. So in Paris, there must be a giant file about you created by Hans Brackenier, who blames you things. And then we have those very strange things, like when you did the spectroscopy tests with the CO2 and the methane gas, CH4. It was a professor at the University of Ghent who said, "I've never seen such curves. And this is indeed, a pure form of CO2. But it's not gas, it's liquid, or it is solid." So after 2 days, he phones you, the professor. And he says, "Sorry, I received a call that I cannot talk to you anymore." That was again based, in my opinion, on a secret file that somebody of the Secret Service of Belgium phones to the professor, because he knows from our telephone traffic and GPS traffic that we were there. So he phones the guy and he says, "You cannot do it. This is of national security," or something like that. False reports created originally by Hans Brackenier. You see, so it's. You have seen, Mehran, how we went to the Opel factory. The Opel factory that we wanted to take over after the strikes and things like that. And again closed that factory in Antwerp. There were a number of illogic decisions made by several people. We were proposing to create 10,000 new jobs. We proposed to create from Antwerp a space heaven or a space gate, a port, like an airport but for spaceships. We proposed to do medical to build medical reactors there. It was all thrown away. Probably again based on reports from the Secret Service, Belgian Secret Service, created, invented by Mr. Braconier. So the new technology that Keshe Foundation is promoting, it disturbs a number of rich, mighty people in the industry, but also in the political world. So that's what I wanted to say. Okay?
Dirk, do you remember, can I ask you a question? Do you remember the balloon collection we made in Castle, who told us that they are aware of the criminal activities of Hans Braconier?
Yes, I was
thinking.
We
took us to see Professor Shishi of the university.
Yeah, but I don't remember exactly the name, but I know that in my conversations with several people, they said, oh yes, Hans Braconier, yeah, we know that story. It's incredible. It's a snake, he said, the guy to me. But it was not in the conversation that you were present. It was a telephone conversation I had with a guy, with a very important guy in the politics.
Do you remember his name?
Yeah, it was the guy we met. We met during our visit to the cabinet of the Prime Minister of Belgium. It was my former friend. You remember? And he said, yes, we know that.
Yeah.
That was Hans Dont. Hans Dont is at this moment the Secretary General of the Ministry of Finance. He's very powerful, but he knows all the story of Hans Braconier. He said to me, yes, he was fired, etc. From the force to resign from the head of cabinet because of corruption and a number of things. But this Hans Braconier is now, and I didn't know that, so he's one of the director of European Space Agency.
Yep.
Incredible. You see how the network works. And then he is in extra position to block you, to block anything. And you see, and then he can use his contacts in his network with NASA and things like that, and American war machines. So it's an incredible network. It's not visible, but it's existing. Amazing that such a guy with such a reputation, and everybody knows he's a crook, that he can come in such a position in European Space Agency. It's incredible. I'm amazed. Okay.
Dirk, do you remember, or can you explain when I came back from Tehran in 2008, that we had to go to the Suez on the same day to attend the office of the Prime Minister of Belgium to explain the technology, what was achieved?
Yes. So what I told you.
Can you enlighten us?
Yeah. What I told you before.
Hello.
Yes. Hello.
We are listening. Carry on.
Yes.
Listening.
Yeah. You have to know.
We are listening. Yes.
You have to know that in a former life I was how you call it, high public servant in the Belgian Ministry of Economic Affairs. At that time, I was what they called adjunct advisor, and I had about 16 people under me. And at that moment, at that moment, there was a young guy coming in. He was under me. He was a very bright guy, speaking fluently Dutch, of course, French, English, a bright guy. His name was Hans Dont. Hans Dont, he was family from, I think the nephew of a political woman sitting in parliament, being Secretary of State a number of times. And so he worked with me. So we start to be friends. And so that was the background, let's say. So later on...
This is the same one who was in the cabinet. Yeah.
Yes, the guy from the cabinet. So before he was one of, not really my employees, he was under me in the structure of the Ministry of Economic Affairs. So then I left because I invented some toys who were successful. And then after a number of years, I still kept contact with Hans Dont. And so from the moment you were in Iran, I contacted him and I said, look, Hans, this is an incredible technology and we can solve the energy problems in Belgium. And I think we need to talk. And so I made an arrangement with him and he said, okay, let's talk with him, with Mehran Keshe. So I confirmed this by emails and things like that. So we were in contact. And then you came back. In fact, I drove to Paris to take you up. You remember the big suit you had with all those reactors you received from Iran you could take with you. So that from their part, there was no embargo on you, or you could not export this technology. So, and then after that, so we met Hans Dont, being the head of office, the head of cabinet at that moment of Prime Minister Leterme at that moment. Later on, we understood, because there was a woman present also in that. It was the specialist in energy, and later we started to know that woman, I think her name was Devine or something like that, of Devin, was in fact the promoter of windmills in Belgium. So we went to speak with the devil. She was not interested in our technology. She was interested in windmills. So that wasn't, it was not a mistake, but we informed Hans Dont that there was a possibility. So that was a little bit the history around that. Okay, Mehran?
Yeah. Oh, this is good to know, because what I say is me, but now we have a Belgium and the other Belgians who have supported us and in so many ways protected us for years. But now a new cycle of accusation and work by the same police officer has started, and they are threatening that they issue warrant for arrest of the foundation supporters in Belgium if they do not give them what they want. I request from the Belgian federal government to look into the investigation of this Mr. Delano and the instruction of Mr. Hans Bakanier. Interesting enough, when you read the article which is released now in your hand, the reason I came to Belgium was because I could not come to an agreement with the Ministry of Defense of England. And strange enough, 3 months after the date that technology was correct and they were prepared to invest, Wareheart was sold to a subsidiary of Ministry of Defense of United Kingdom. The first ever acquisition by Ministry of Defense outside the boundary and the borders of United Kingdom. They considered technology which they were negotiating beforehand so advanced that they went and literally bought the company which did the investigation in development of the energy reactor. This is in the press. You can read it. We have provided the links on the release. So one understands that the technology is, if a company like Gerhardt, with their advanced technology in the space, which they were appointed by structure within the government to evaluate physically the production of the first, what they call fusion reactor, were prepared to invest their own money out of their pocket. So we were not wrong. And the power generators you've been waiting for to deliver within nuclear sources were more or less could have been ready in 2006, 2007. And we wanted to produce them in 2009. Again, by the request of the First Minister of Finnish government, through the request of Pricewaterhouse headquarters in Ghent, to take over their plant and start working, was again stopped through the same process. So it means the Flemish government, who invested in the valuation with Gerhardt, with Professor Van Overmeer, with SCK, and other factors, they already knew the technology was correct, that the First Minister, private or through the Flemish government, approached Pricewaterhouse, which is a leading accountancy firm, to approach Keshe Foundation to take over of the Antwerp plant for production of the systems. So you cannot blame that all the Belgians are wrong. The Flemish government knows. They had the scientists we met as the advisors and the first ministers in the Flemish government who understood what technology was. And once the hand of Mr. Hasbrakenier got to it, the criminal case, which is made imaginary ones, because it doesn't suit him to steal it, or it suited him to the technology, kicked in. In fact, from next week, the knowledge seekers will post every test we have asked if we can do it of the reactors they've chosen. Openness of the technology is the savior of the technology. The way we showed the production of nanomaterial without using any nuclear material at this moment is carried out by the knowledge seekers team. In the second week, which has been this week, I have put all the reactors which we have, all the technologies we have on the table to them, and I've said, you choose which ones you want to test and develop or test as a group or in tools or individuals. This is how open the technology is. This is how we have opened the technology. This is how this knowledge of universe, this is knowledge of God, is in the hand of the man. And it has to be accessible irrespective of color, race, and religion. And we have carried this out. And we'll carry it the same way out. We will teach, not me, but all the knowledge seekers start teaching through their workshops. And we'll post the videos. We are doing everything. I've asked the videos to be made of everything. We can video, it's possible, and we post it, that you can see the process. We are not going to show you every time we succeed. We're going to show you more when we fail, because there should be no fear on the new territories. And if you only show the best part, in fact, we haven't learned from the past. We should be open, and it's this openness, I think, has even shocked the knowledge seekers who've been here in the past 2 weeks. Knowledge is freely given, and I hope when they become the teachers of the institute in the near future to teach others, they carry with the same thing. They can teach freely without the fear of what will happen or if I lose money with a patent. Patents has no value. We have opened the hand in the structure of the peer review with Stephen Hawking situation, with the Royal Institute of Astronomy. Now, in this workshop, we open the way the political structure sits to do the same thing. Every section, every sector only works to protect their own titles. We have opened the Fukushima situation, and we will announce very soon new research development testing done by other governments. I opened the arms of friendship and collaboration with NASA again for a second time. Now that we have opened the doors, you could not get a visa for me to come and give you a lecture last year, according as was disclosed by Pizwiki, Sterling our half NASA who will be inviting us to go. As we cannot come to you, we invite the NASA scientists to our base to work with our foundation knowledge seekers. We show you the way, and if you are kind enough, you teach it to the Americans and other nationalities through your way. So the ones who blocked us, now the way I reached the hand of peace to the American government over nearly a year and a half ago, which led to the peace talks with Iran, we put the same hand of friendship to NASA, to Russian Space Agency. If there is any question in this part, we answer, and then we go on the technical part.
And we have some questions regarding the last book.
I think Mr. Keshe is
regarding
asking for questions about what he just talked about, right? Is that what you're saying at this point, Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if there's a couple of questions on what has just transpired. I was interested in getting maybe some of the newcomers like Brett's point of view on that from GoToMeeting, or someone else that might have something new to offer on that situation. I think there's a lot of people that are on Mr. Keshe's side and would like to see justice be done in many ways on the planet, and this seems to be one aspect that's getting cleaned up on planet Earth at this point in time. So, any other comments about that? I feel like it's that Jack Benny show where there's 2 minutes of silence, and it's the longest period in radio history. Everybody a little not too anxious to speak up on that topic? Okay, I'll give it a minute. Let's see if
I think it's a lot to.
It could be.
I think it's a lot to swallow.
It is. It is. It's you came out strong with what you believe and with facts to back it up. So that's big information to a lot of people who maybe don't know about this sort of thing. I happened to get introduced to it also through Mr. Keshe, and so my immediate impression was, what? How could this be? It sounds, impossible, and some people, think these things up and so on, and how could it be so pervasive and so on? So I did look it up on the internet, and I found some of the original documents from newspapers and from the internet that were released and so on, and I was pretty taken aback by the depth of the situation. So it wasn't a huge surprise to me, but on the other hand, I could see many people would be quite shocked by it, actually. And they should be, because it's a shocking situation that needs to be handled.
So we do have a question from Vitor.
No, what do you want?
Meeting.
Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me, Mr. Keshe?
Yes.
Okay, good. There's a question from Vitor in the go-to meeting, and he's asking, is the Keshe Foundation under a big threat, and how can we act with the released documents?
The document which is being posted, now it's getting posted in different languages, release these in accompanied with this workshop to all the officials in your country and to as many newspapers and any websites as you can. Because if we do not stop this process, this technology will be put away for centuries to come. And this is the big plan. Please go on anyway on internet, post it as many places as you can, and release it to as much press as possible. All the Belgium sites, people in Belgium have to make a decision for themselves how they're going to tolerate this situation. With me living in Belgium, a lot of jobs are lost in Belgium, and a lot of people are unemployed in Belgium. For pleasure of 2 or 3 men, the nation is paying. Yes?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I noticed on the back of the documents there is some diagrams of a reactor, and just wondering, what is that? Just the nuclear version of what was released on the USB stick?
Yes, it is. It's exact copy. Now you have another additional file to the USB stick, which is in the hand of your government. This is a detailed plan with a control system and a feeding system, which is done by Werhard. This is not mine. You see, that's why it's in the package of a Werhard company. We had over 2-3 months, 2-3 meetings a week, up to 3 to 4 hours, with the scientists from Werhard, scientists from Vito, and other scientists they brought in to analyze and assess the other parts of the technology, different parts of it. And after all that, they've produced the 2 emails which we have accompanied with this plan. This is one of the blueprints. This is the technology which Werhard was sold on the back of to the British government. Though with the difference that they did not have the ignition key. And any meeting which took place with Werhard, the following meeting, a summary was made, and the directors of the Werhard and the scientists present signed what they received as the information in the previous meeting. So we have piles and piles of documents, all signed by the directors of Werhard, the technology and the knowledge they received. And this is a blueprint, but this is a nuclear version. The non-nuclear version is what, in conjunction with what we showed at Fukushima. Development of nano-layers. If you read the documents of the SDK, which we released part of it, again, it even gives you by weight the presence of carbon. But the guy didn't understand the carbon was in the nano layers, which is what we call the gaseous state. Only see it because they fired it in an oven of over 1,400 degrees, and they could detect the CO2. And he even gives you by weight how much carbon it is. This is what we told you. The systems can convert carbon as a gas to a solid as a matter. This process of conversion of gases to matter will be hopefully shown in the next couple of 2-3 weeks by the knowledge seekers when they do it and they produce energy out of it in the lab. All the cylinders, the drawing totally is, as you see, it's a confidential, as part of a confidential report. Now the foundation belongs to you lot. As I said, it's confidential and don't share it with somebody else. But as you are the owners of the Keshe Foundation, you are welcome to see what is secret to, you have to keep it confidential to yourself. The fuel tanks, the control system, the feeding system, overall, what we call it, reactor schematic. And this, if you see these documents carries a pencil mark 505, 506. These all have been registered in 2005 in a large dossier with a notary in Belgium and registered with a court in Belgium. So this is not something we came up out of our hand. This is the document. This is page 505, 506. You see 492. And these are all part of the documents which has been put into the file some 8 years ago and registered with the courts in Belgium by a notary. That is a notarized paper and numbered. I think the person was present while these documents were noted. So if you understand this process, you can see how detailed Werhard has gone into evaluating, costing, and everything else, and that accompanied with their emails. And if you read other email from Werhard, which is dated 24th of April, this is after several meetings before we could go into development. It was theoretical evaluation on the back of Professor Van Overmeer. He says after several technical conceptual meeting with Mr. Keshe, Werhard is interested in evaluating the feasibility of a project to develop an atomic fusion reactor in cooperation with Mr. Keshe. Mr. M.T. Keshe, with his extensive knowledge regarding nuclear physics and proven track record of publication in required field, seems to have the required knowledge about concept and physics to dimension such a kind of reactor chamber. Werhard, with his with experience to build experimental reactors for research purposes, a reactor for a space experiment, will deliver the required multidiscipline services to construct a proof of technology of the atomic fusion reactor. This is dated 26th of 4, and in the following email, which is signed at 492, on the 30th of May, that's April, May, after having a lot of meeting, they say, I will send you the contractual proposition by the end of this week. And it says that the Werhard is willing to invest. It means they did all scientific evaluation, physical evaluation. Under the line number 3, Werhard is willing to invest his one type of reactor energy generation following condition. Then you understand if you put the two documents next to each other. One on number 26 in bracket it says reactor for a space experiment. In the following it says reactor for energy production. We made an agreement with Werhard that we make a system that not only uses for a space, but they use for energy production. And
I think we lost Mr. Keshe again.
yeah, I think so.
So I think Diva had a question. So when he gets back and after you finish talking, Diva, do you want to ask him the question?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Hello.
Hello.
Whoops. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Yes.
Hello.
Diva had a question here, unless you want to continue. Can you hear me?
Looks like he went offline again.
Oh, okay.
So just suggesting that everyone call in every single contact that you've got. So if you're on any Facebook groups, if you know any forums, or it doesn't matter what they are, who they are, let's just send this out. Just distribute it far and wide. So as we've been sitting here, I've sent it out now to 10 different sources, and that's just the beginning. So just throw it out there and make sure that everybody knows about this.
Thank you, Diva. That seems to be the best protection for everyone, is to be upfront and honest about what's happening in the world.
Absolutely. And it's also okay that.
Yeah. It's also a what? Again, that was interrupted with, I couldn't quite get it.
Well, it's gonna solve multiple backlogs of disturbance. That's putting it nicely, but just to distribute as far and wide as we can right now, and then break this into the mainstream news. So that's what the job is that I've taken on here. So as much buzz as we can get and as much exposure as we can get right now, just hit it. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, I'll do that in Hong Kong and China.
Anybody can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, okay. Yeah. But I think, as I have been following this knowledge. Actually, when the first video released, which is the Road to Free Energy, that is the Ivohan 2011 that presentation. I think there are over, nearly a million viewers watching that video. Actually, it created kind of buzz, for Keshe technology. There are a lot of people very excited about the Keshe technology at that time. But over the past few years, the number of people technology have been dropping very drastically, and as right now, while we are having this workshop here in Taipei, and here on the Chinese channel, which is called YY channel, also have a group of nearly 100 people right now listening to this workshop. So what I want to say is that the reason why there have been a lowering number of people listening to the technology is that people really want to see this technology is for real. And I think if there is something that can show that this technology is a real thing, I think we can again enhance lift the popularity more people know this technology, the safer Mr. Keshe himself and also all of us will be. So I think this is actually a process of the entire population, and let them know that there is such a way that will make this world a better place. So I think this is very important. And also, maybe this is a kind of joke. If the Skype is the casual locked, cannot be speak continuously, I think we can use transfer to YY, which is also a kind of instant communication software which is used in China. There will be no block at all using this kind of software in China, talking about this kind of thing, because people really like this kind of technology. I believe many people know that the media coverage about the small Beijing and Shanghai and the rest of the cities in the eastern part of China, it is very serious, very severe problems, and people really want to have a kind of real technology that will solve this problem. Because no matter you are a rich person or you are a poor people, you will breathe in and breathe out the same air. So there is no difference in this regard. And so I believe if this technology, you let people know that this is a real thing, have a very concrete thing that people know that this is real, it's very high for this technology. So that is just some of my views about this.
Okay, I'm Dirk. Can I say something? Hello.
Oh.
Hello.
Yes. Hi, Dirk. Can you hear us here? I have Mehran on the telephone.
Yes, okay. Now I wanted to respond to this gentleman who just spoke from China. Now, to have a real visible thing, you should ask Mehran advice about building a system which I saw with my own eyes, and I worked even on this, is to reduce the smoke in your cities, in China's cities. This is an enormous problem. I know. I've read on that. So in a very, very, very simple system, using a kind of nanotechnology, we have filtered out, let's say, milk from the sky, CO2, and methane gas, CH4, in a very, very simple way, a cheap way. So you can do that in your country, in the big cities. It's enormous and it's very visual. You can see the process, how it works. The fact is, it's a kind of nanomaterials, and they interact with water, and after a number of seconds, you see already how the liquid transforms as a form. You get a kind of milk created around the electrodes, let's say, and then this is CO2, or this is methane gas that you take out of the air. But it's not limited to that. You can do much more. You can, depending from the advisor of Mehran Keshe, can say, okay, use this and this and this. so you get that stuff out of the air. So for China, this technology is very important because then you can clean the air of the big cities. And that's a major health problem you have there. Okay, this is what I want to say.
That would be very, thank you very much. That would be very good information. Maybe I will contact Mr. Keshe about the further information about this thing. Thank you for your information.
But Dirk, I have a question for you. Mehran was saying that that CO2 in the gas state cannot be destroyed. So in any known way nowadays. So if you accumulate that from the atmosphere, from the gas state, the gas to the liquid, what do you do with that? Because if you throw it into the land, it won't contaminate.
I'm not the technical guy about that, but what Mehran told me in the past.
Right. Yes. Can I respond? Yes, let's try to do that. Can you hear me? Let me put you close to the microphone, and we'll try to. Okay, let's try it out now. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mehran. Yes, Mehran, we hear you.
Okay, that works, Mehran, so go ahead. Yeah, this material, base, can be used as digestion food. And at the moment, we are using this material as a fertilizer. When we absorb the CO2 into a liquid form from the air, we have run some of you on the net, if you remember 2 years ago, you received 2 white packages and 2 packs of seeds. The white packet is a CO2 can. The material has already to 7 levels. Uh-oh.
So a couple of years ago, the Keshe Foundation asked a number of people to do tests at their home, and some people in Norway, in Germany, and in other countries, they received a package from Mehran. And so this package was used to grow certain herbs and certain products. So that gave a very good result. So Mehran answered the question. So if you take...
It got cut off there somehow. Yep. Yeah. Dirk was just explaining something here about that process and so on.
So when in China you take out CO2 and CH4 out from the air, you can use these materials, guns, for the fertilization of the herbs, of the crops in China. So it's a double action. So it has value as a fertilizer. So I think Mehran has answered that question.
The advantage with this process, not the CO2 conversion from gas to solid, is in a space allows us to transfer fields into matter that we can use as food for digestive system. So in a way, what the man breathed out as a CO2, we can extract in the same solution to feed him back with the same material or use it for other usage.
this conversion of energy into matter now is getting taught in the institute to the knowledge seekers. So in the next week or two, they can actually show you how the process is done. That how you can convert energy into gas and energy into matter. This be the CO2, this be gold, this be iron you need for construction or your system in deep space. If your air system fails in the base, you can't die just because you don't have the plastic or the steel is gone or one of the parts of the system has failed. Now with this technology, we have shown it to the process or the concept to the knowledge speakers this week, how you can use different parts of the reactor to produce the material you need. So we become independent on every drawing and picture. As long as we carry the data or we can make a copy of what is damaged or what is needed, you can produce the material for it on the time of need. This has changed the space technology. We are not bound to the Mother Earth anymore. This is one of the biggest problems with people, that this technology, we are not dependent to come back to take resources, water or whatever. The way we convert gases into matter, we can convert the space to gas and then gas to matter that we can use for constructions and we can use for different things in the space. This is the reason it was developed. It wasn't developed for cleaning up the space bodies. That does it. Hello?
Yeah, you broke up there for the last sentence, we couldn't quite hear.
Yes. We have to understand that, as Dirk said, this process can be used for cleanup in China, but it wasn't developed for that purpose. It was creation of matter in a space, converting energy to gas, and from gas into a gas or a solid matter as you need it. So, as I keep on saying, and you said it before, for the pans in the kitchen. NASA tried it, developed material, stand there and wear in space, and the speed of it and the advantage of it came on our kitchen table. It's the same thing with this technology. The advantages, the benefits of what the new technology is bringing is getting fed down the line, cleaning a teeth. The material which producing with the cost of nothing. To travel without rocket power. The institute and organizations like NASA, European Space Agency, they know the term is over, and
oops. I guess maybe you shouldn't have mentioned NASA. Whoops, back again. We lost you. We lost you as soon as you said the word NASA. It cut off. My phone cut out.
The three-letter word.
Yeah, that's a four-letter word. It's a four-letter word that's banned here, I think. Oops, we lost the connection on my cell phone. Okay, it's back again. Sorry, we lost you. We lost you for a second there. It's back. Oops. It says a poor connection.
Now,
we can use technology to advance our culture and our technologies on this planet, and at the same time use it to take man out into space. And this is what we are doing, and this is what is the purpose of the Institute to do so. And this is the whole apex of the Institute to do so. Now, and this thing,
okay, lost the connection again.
for around the table. Hello?
Okay,
there?
we lost the last few words, that's all.
Yes, no problem. So you don't need to ask me any more questions from next week. You ask the knowledge seekers. I'm retiring. So they take you to space.
Yeah, I think you have a habit of answering questions, and you'll always be answering questions, Mr. Keshe. But it's a nice idea. It's a good idea to transfer over that job.
Yes, out there learning, they can see that we did not choose scientists that we have Professor so-and-so on the table as a knowledge seeker. We don't have Dr. so-and-so. We have scientists who are devoted to humanity. And I can see the way in the first week they gel, that they work together. It's the way how the human race will become. Because the purity of heart and we see it, they work as a team. There is no barrier in any shape or form. And this is what will become. That because we are not dependent and we become independent, we become and understand how we can serve for the advancement of humanity. Another question?
Any other questions?
Yes, this is Lucian. I will have a question regarding the last workshop. So basically, when you start showing how the nanomaterial is done, we had some copper there that being mixed in that water with, the first thing is making a copper hydroxide, and when the hot water was poured on the top, it was doing copper oxide and releasing atomic sodium. So I'm assuming that that will release the 23 sodium, which is stable, and the only reason for which you said that you have to leave it covered for 24 hours is just to build more material, because sodium 23 is not radioactive, so will not release any kind of fields. This is correct, or? It looks like it broke again.
Can anybody on the Skype workshop hear me?
Nanomaterials.
Sorry, I had the microphone off.
Your carbon layer. Hello?
Sorry, Mr. Keshe, I had the microphone off, and I don't think they quite heard you in the go-to meeting from the Skype. Could you say the last concept again, please?
Yeah, in the process where you put the sodium, as we shown, if you add a potassium salt into it, you will find that the potassium 40 within the structure of potassium salt will release enough radiation to guarantee the production of nano layers in the state. I did the same process time. Give it for 24 hours. You take it out, you make the connection within the core, back in the pot again, and you repeat the process. The other way to do it is to add the top of Coca-Cola bottles, the screw ball, cut it, and add it in the caustic before you put the hot water in. That process, it creates a carbon-14.
Okay, now, Mr. Keshe, you're talking about the actual threads of the bottle itself, not the cap that you put on the bottle, correct?
No, not the screw thread.
The screw thread, right.
And if you can put a mixture of the material, then you will find if we in the lab.
Do we miss that last sentence because with all the critical information?
In the lab.
Yeah. Oh,
Mr. Keshe, sorry to interrupt you, but I did not get at all that stuff with sodium 40. Can you please repeat that one because it broke completely?
Lucy, we have a really poor connection on the cell phone as well, so it's having trouble reconnecting and whatnot. Bear with us.
Yeah, all that sentence with the sodium 40, I didn't hear anything. Maybe you did it. You did hear, Rick? I don't know.
I think we got some of it recorded here. Part of it was I didn't have my microphone on, but it was on live stream, but not on the Skype call. Okay, we're back again here with Mr. Keshe, and it's again disconnected. I'm going to try to see if I can invite people back from the directly to the Spaceship Institute connection through the Skype call. Let's see if that goes through. They were supposed to restart the router.
You have to repeat all that thing with...
Okay, Armin wants to be invited in, so we'll bring him in. Perhaps there's a way that can work. Mehran's calling back.
Hello?
Hey, Armin. Yes, hi Armin, you're coming through loud and clear. Are you with the other people there?
Rick, can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you clearly, Armin. Can you hear me okay?
Rick?
Yes. Can you hear me, Armin? Turn up your volume if you can't hear me.
Looks like he can hear you. You can hear him, but not... Maybe your microphone is muted?
Whose microphone? His or mine? Mine is not muted, and it seems to be working.
It wouldn't be yours. It just seems that he maybe had his speakers turned off or is wrong or a wrong source.
I'll put that into the chat. Okay, phone coming through. Jeez.
Rick, did you want to just get him to get into GoToMeeting and see if he can do that? Because at least
maybe you can patch him directly.
You get Armin or Mr. Keshe into the
Mr. Keshe into the GoToMeeting.
Yeah, Mr.
Because you can use a phone to call in, but you just have to log in with your computer first.
Okay, so how are we going to get the instructions to him for that? We can go through.
I can do something else. I can hook up my VoIP to Skype if you want me to. If there is a phone number I can dial.
Can you tell information, Rick? Is that a cell phone he's calling on, or is it a VoIP?
Cell phone.
As far as I know, it's a cell phone.
Okay, can you text it to him?
If you give me the number, I can try to call him and touch him.
Or to who? To do what to who here?
If you give me the phone number there, I can patch him through my VoIP in Skype.
Right. Well, I can't give you his phone number without him telling me to give you his phone number, so that's not going to happen.
I don't care.
That's why I'm not using text.
Well, I don't care, but I'm not giving out Mr. Keshe's phone number over the public anything at this point.
Text him.
Text who?
Keshe with the GoToMeeting information.
Right. It's been sent already some time ago. I can do it again. We can send it to George's connection, which probably doesn't work. Okay, great. Hang on.
So can you not text him on his cell phone, Rick? Like I text you with my cell phone?
He's calling back right now.
But guys, can I ask you a stupid question? Isn't any other phone number there into the building? So they.
Lucien, could you be quiet for a minute, please? Thank you. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Yes.
The Marco thinks there are too many. That's why we can't get in.
Too many on the Skype call?
Yeah, he said there are about 13 people.
Not on the Skype call. No, there's 8 right now.
8. Can we try again? Let's try upstairs.
Shall I?
Rick, can you maybe give me the information so that you can do it that way?
Okay. Here's another.
Okay, you were on Skype here.
Another option.
Hello. Can you hear me on the Skype?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Mr. Keshe.
Just stop that, because then I hear back myself.
I was wondering where the voice came from.
Okay, we are back on the Skype.
Whew. Great. Great news.
Do we just want to maybe mention the go-to meeting to Mr. Keshe so that if it happens, and we can just get him to go there?
Yeah, Mr. Keshe, can you hear what Vince is saying right now?
Can you repeat again? I just got you back.
I was going to say that I think Rick had sent you some information about go-to meeting. So just in case there's a problem with Skype and your connection to Skype, you could probably get onto the go-to meeting.
No, they have jammed our whole system. Hello?
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah.
So we use the mobile Skype now.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, we had as a backup plan that you could go to the go-to meeting and you can call in there with your cell phone and it'll actually work through the go-to meeting. We'd be able to talk and converse right into the Skype back from the go-to meeting. So if you wish to do that, then
no, we'll stay on this mobile. Is it okay to stay on this mobile? Yeah, we'll stay on this mobile, on the Skype. Okay, carry on.
Great. Okay. So we're in the middle of a question.
So, Mr. Keshe, you broke completely. Can I rephrase the question so you can come back? So my question was this. In the last workshop, when you showed how to create a nanomaterial, supposedly we were putting copper there. Copper was attracting 6 molecules of water. So when the sodium hydroxide was put in the hot water, the copper oxide was formed and sodium, atomic sodium was released, sodium 23, which is stable. So at that point you said that you have to close that plastic box and leave it for 24 hours. So I'm assuming that sodium 23 is not radioactive and will not release any, radiation energy. Yes. So this is correct, what I'm thinking, or is there any other reason?
What we do, yes. That's what I explained. You can add another potassium salt that allows the process to be carried out in a perfect way. You understand? Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I hear you.
Yes.
So,
So what happened, what I do, I use a mixture of potassium and sodium. And this guarantees the process because partially you receive K40 in some minute amount, which is sufficient for the process. And if you repeat the process 3 or 4 times, you got to put the material at a time when you introduce the hot water. This is very important. You just don't put the hot water and then you drop your reactor in it. You have to introduce it simultaneously. Or you put your copper on a mesh with a caustic underneath, and then you introduce the water from the side, that it builds up and it comes up. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear okay, Lucien?
Yes, I heard you, sir.
Yeah. So that's the way to do it. You put like don't use a conductive mesh. Use a mesh which has got like a plastic coating, or use that it can stand the heat. And you put your reactor on it, but underneath the mesh you put caustic with a potassium mixture. And then you introduce the hot water into the pot, that you don't oxidize with the water. You work through the rapid expansion of the heat. The molecules and the atomic structure of the copper opens up with the heat. The heat is enough to do the job. And then the process starts. You can use the cutting, as I said, of the Coca-Cola bottle. This is a conversion of the carbon-12 to carbon-14. You still achieve it. It's part of the process. This is why, what do you call it? It was considered that we use partially atomic or nuclear or gamma rays in the original Coca-Cola bottle. The pressure on and the position of the carbon in the Coca-Cola bottle's CH bond allows a formation of partially radioactive carbon, which allows the process of production of nanomaterial on your electrodes. This is a new information I explain now that you can understand. As you do carbon dating...
Okay, now it's clear.
If you can, so if you get a good cut of, what do you call it, of Coca-Cola heads, the screw head, and put it at the bottom of the tray, you can speed up the process. But the nano layer you get is very powdery. It is extremely powdery. If you touch it, it looks like a mist on your reactor. Do not touch. And repeat the process once more or twice more. Don't think just because you got a good layer, it's finished. The more powder layer you make, the faster conversion of the plasma is there to open up. Because you create like a mesh that the plasma will open into. And the holes you made in your conductor, in your copper, as a p-n junction, acts and behaves for absorbing the electrons which is freed by hydrogen. This is how you create your plasma. And as your reactor, when you load up, is in a vacuum condition and is in a rotative condition, the material on the edge, as they open the plasma, as you ionize, due to the property, will go back to the center. So you can add a small amount of hydrogen on the boundaries of your reactor, which through the gravitational magnetic field and the vacuum and the rotation will allow the hydrogen molecules to become atomic, and the atomic hydrogen becomes ionized. And in ionizing, the plasma goes to the center automatically. So this is a feeding system, automatic feeding system for your plasma. So whatever you lose as an energy of the plasma, through your nano layers, you create continuous supply. So what is lost is absorbed and returned back into the plasma. So you keep a stable, continuous supply of plasma in your reactor. This is the creation of a stability in any condition. If you cannot achieve with the nano layer the condition, you release small amount of argon and a nitrogen layer, which in conjunction with helium. and then hydrogen. Very small layers. But the thickness, you have to measure the thickness of your nitrogen has to be at least 3 times the thickness of your argon. Then the pressure from the plasma internally acts like an accordion. It squeezes, very like a piezoelectric. It squeezes the nitrogen layer to the argon. Argon gets pushed up to the nano layer, the gas layer. It releases immediately extreme ultraviolet. That extreme ultraviolet has a possibility and the chance of interacting with the helium or ionizing the hydrogen. Then you have a continuous supply of plasma in the center of the core. And you don't need to feed it anymore. You don't need to do anything. Then you have a stable reactor, stable condition, and you can do that in 2 cores and achieve. But if you can increase your layering in your single cores, then you have the condition, what we call a solar system condition, multi-layering of plasma, then you can achieve the lift. But that's very advanced. Maybe in a few years, scientists can do that.
So, may
Thank you.
I ask
This is
a
very
quick,
clear. And I will go to the next.
quick question. How many layers we need to do? Or maximum
Of
layers we can do of nanomaterial?
As much as you can till you're happy with it. Till you're happy, there is no term. There is no limitation.
Okay. So far I have material with 3. Do I need to make more or?
It depends on your reactor, depends how you use and what atomic nuclear material you use for separation.
Mr. Keshe, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I'm here from the Netherlands group, and
yes.
You know we have a stainless steel core.
Yeah.
My question is, do I need a copper layer inside, or will it work?
Vince, we are running a test with Armand. Because we have put some material, trying a new method to see if we can create nanomaterial in stainless steel. And Armand and other knowledge seekers will post finding within the next few days. What we've done, we've added to the caustic potassium mixture again the copper, the carbon from the Coca-Cola bottle, to allow to see the heat expands the molecules of the stainless steel and creates a cavity that the carbon can go in. In a way, we increase the carbon content of the steel if it can be done. Then this carbon stages like you're doing, blasting on the steel to create cavities that you can embed copper. But instead of this, if the process is correct, I doubt it, but if you're trying it, then the copper oxide, you will have a, carbon oxide layers as nano layers on your core. Then you can do the same test. Otherwise, you have to do the copper coating. Or, we received, one of the knowledge seekers has found a new paint which has nanomaterial in it. So we're going to investigate, maybe that can be used. Otherwise, I explained to the knowledge seekers, I've been telling you for a long time, if you have 2 mobile phones anywhere in the world, you have enough to produce energy and everything else you need. The secret with this, now we have explained it and I showed it yesterday to the knowledge seekers, is not that the mobile phone will give you the energy. The secret with this is that you open the batteries of your mobile phone, which you don't need. Inside them, there is about 30 to 50 centimeter plus of a pure copper as layers. There's a copper and aluminum layers. So you use these copper layers to line in your reactors that you can oxidize to start the whole process. Do you understand?
Never would have figured that one out. I had about 10 other ideas on that combo, but that's good. Thank you very much for stopping my mind.
This is the secret. This is the secret. Why? Yeah, so let me explain. What you do, you glue the copper sheet layers into your stainless steel core, and then you make sure there is no gaps in it, that you seal the real layers together, and then you do the same oxidization process. The system will stick. There is no problem with it. It will not come off. But you have to use a kind of glue. It's a composite glue, high temperature composite glue, to glue it on the wall. That when you put it in the caustic, the temperatures do not release the films. And then with this process, you have to be careful that you never expose your reactor to air, because then you get the copper oxide nano, which is very volatile in production of radioactive, or what you call it, radiation at the high levels. It becomes greenish blue. It is highly superconductive, and it has a porosity which is different than copper oxide nanomaterial.
So you're saying the greenish blue is not what we want. That's a different...
all you want. And please use gloves. From now on, whenever you touch these things, use gloves, because they can be absorbed by your skin.
Dr. Keshe, this is Brett. How
Brett.
far away from the reactors do we have to be not to be harmed?
We discussed this last night about 1 o'clock around the dining table here with the knowledge seekers. If you can stay at least 3-4 meters away, when you see the shimmer on your reactor, do not get excited to approach it. You have two choices. When you build your reactor, you allow a seating capacity, a boarding capacity, that you can sit and become part of it, then you can control it. Or, as long as the field is within the frame of your reactor frame, wherever you mounted it, you have a matter. There is no problem with it. But if your plasma expands, and you get the experience that it expands beyond the frame, you have a flying condition. You have to stay away till you understand what you're doing, because all your pipes, all your electric connections are useless. They will not work, and you cannot send a command through it unless you have a special cable access or you can communicate. That's why if you look at the reactor we showed with energy production and lift in the weight reduction, it sits on a bridge. The reason it's not just happened to be there is we foresee, and we know it's happened because we've seen it before. You can immediately board on the steps or on the platform and be able to control the reactor, because you become a planet on your own. Once the system goes backwards, you have to be part of the reactor that you can control the position or the whole matter. The first thing you will see when the reactor achieves the first parallel balance with the Earth's gravitational magnetic field is a violent shake. It's literally like tearing something apart. This shaking is the first sign. When you see your reactor start shaking, this means it's interacting with the gravitational magnetic field and is trying to find separation point, a balance point. These are the things now we start putting on the net, you start teaching. The technology is totally open. There is nothing is held back anymore. And we do it every day with the knowledge seekers. And everything gets videoed, and we put it back on the line for you lot.
Yeah, I'm a chemist and the specialization in forensic science, so the chemistry to me is beautiful.
We don't have nothing to do with chemistry. We are plasma people.
Well, the nano stuff you're doing.
Mr. Keshe,
Pardon?
So we are back online. If you want to come upstairs.
Do you want me to come up? Yeah, we come upstairs. Okay. You're going up. It's working? Yeah, it's just...
In the meantime, Rick, can you bring Geert back in, please? He's been asking to come back in and calling.
Do you want to move? Do you want to move?
Oh, yeah, so because I've got some questions. Can you tell me
Two charts.
Rick? Oh, thank you.
They have been Rick, can you hear us? Rick?
Loud and clear.
Oh, yes, I can. Sorry, I had my microphone off. Yep. Try again, another sound check.
We are here. I'm back up.
Yes, you're sounding good.
Can you hear me? Okay, let me ask Diva. I know you're there and you listen.
Yes, sir.
We extend the hand of collaboration and cooperation to NASA. We invite Mr. Wilson, Mr. Nelson, who was the person who initiated the original invitation, and he negotiated with embassy for our lecture in NASA. We invite NASA to our house, to the home of the foundation with the knowledge seekers. The whole process is, in our center, we have 2 buildings, and our lab is in the White House. So we invite the residents of the White House in Washington to our White House here in Italy. Or in a very simple way to open the technology and talk about real peace the way we talked on 2 occasions.
Yes.
I give a clear message to His Excellency President Obama. Mr. Obama, you can speak to your predecessor, Bill Clinton. He understands the message clearly because he knows what I'm talking about. His walk on the streets of Belfast shaking hands with head of Sinn Féin, Jerry Adam, would not have happened if I would not have put my signature in committing British into peace treaty. He knows the code I'm using, and British government understands. The fuel tankers which are fueling the war in Northern Ireland were processed through our hand to guarantee the peace. We are prepared to open all documents. So Bill Clinton can advise His Excellency President Obama who we are, and you know how we operated to guarantee peace in Northern Ireland after 300 years. We succeeded. I committed my companies into it. We are prepared to release all data. We got involved with the Iranian peace talk, and we see the success. Now we look to the White House for the same process. I thank His Excellency President Obama for his private letter to me on 24th of July of last year. And at the same time, through our knowledge, which we have, we extend the hand of friendship to Mrs. Clinton. We've been told she's suffering from a tumor, which could be possibly due to the accident, as we said last year, in Iran, when it happened in the airport in Ahvaz. And if they trust us now that they know how advanced we are, maybe we can help with the situation with Hillary Clinton if it's true with the brain tumor. We have already done a test. The test is done with doctors in conjunction with doctors in Germany. We open our books to the doctors in White House and into the American medical for them to monitor. And maybe the same way as I got permission from the office of the president before, we offered our coma technology to Mr. Chiron when he was in coma. We offer the same hand of friendship to Mrs. Hillary Clinton. Next question.
Mr. Keshe, can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Deva. Okay.
Yes.
So we have, we've already begun on some press launch material, which we sent out to you about a week ago.
We haven't had internet. We'll have it today.
Okay, good. So you'll get a package around that. This material is creating a great deal of urgency. So, and I think we all know why. There's multiple reasons. Yes?
I have personally requested for the procedure for the arrest of the King of Belgium. Not just because of the talk, it's because we can prove. Secondly, I give you another piece of information. The King of Belgium does not come and see a man in a small cafe in the middle of mountains in Belgium. As we posted the picture you see today, unless there was a hidden agenda to it. We'd said for past year and a half that we had a meeting for about an hour and a half. And today the knowledge seekers, they decided to pick the picture up and they have posted it. You can see with the Queen, and we have more pictures, and the King of Belgium. This is his habit, to see his victim before they are killed. So when I saw him, I knew what is in pipeline. So you understand the fingerprint of a criminal. When we ask for the move against the King of Belgium, because we have enough evidence. The other things which you might not know, and we are not disclosing any further, one of the people who's a victim of the abuse is a very close collaborator with the Keshe Foundation. So we are prepared to open things which to put it beyond the shadow of a doubt. And all we ask, give us a drop of blood. Legalize it through Den Haag. And then we can show you. You can release this. I have no hesitation. I don't work on behalf of no government. But on the other hand, in the next workshop, I will explain exactly how and these things are done for what purpose. Pass it to CNN, pass it to American news, anywhere. But once we stop this process, then you understand the technology has been available to all for a long time. And as long as this man goes around and says this is terrorist, government listen to them because he has a king to support him. Mr. Hans Berkenier flies with the king. And my wish is, I hope the new king is not sleeping in the same bed as his father. Next question.
Okay, so I've already put the word out about initiating proceedings around that. I have some contacts that I'm working with in regard to the arrests and the warrants and the indictments. So I've passed that along, and I should be able to have some news back to you tomorrow about that.
We work as a team.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes. So the next piece would be if our small media team can get a quick meeting with you to be able to summarize this and just a very quick interview, the quick version, so that we can expedite getting the news out there. Okay.
We can do it after this workshop. Yeah.
Right after now? Right now?
Yes, after the workshop.
Okay,
after the
perfect.
workshop, we establish another call and then we record what you need.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'll shut up now then. Talk to you soon.
Back to you. Yes. Yes, what's the next question?
Mr. Keshe.
Who's speaking?
Are you going to sell your reactors? Hi, this is Dave. Are you going to put your reactors up for sale? You know, the people who put the deposits on them?
We deliver for less than, I think about 40, 50 or 80, 90 pieces, people. It will be delivered by the manufacturers in Italy to them. We had them here 2 days ago, the people who are manufacturing the new energy units. We have modified it, make it much simpler. And a strange and very pleasurable thing, it was a strange thing, but it's pleasurable. We have given the whole technology to a company in Italy free for the Italian nation.
Wow.
So it means once they deliver the 40, 50 pieces to the people around the world which they put a deposit on it, the company which collaborated with us to produce the pre-production becomes the owner of the technology for the Italian nation. So we are not producing millions to make millions. And the reason for this is the same will be done with any nation which collaborates with us. We did the same thing with the Iranian government. Arabesque technology was given freely, unconditionally, and we repeated the same thing with Fukushima in demonstration and teaching you how to do it. And now we have given the reactor, they have all designs, they are producing, making more efficient system, and the technology is given as a gift to the Italians, to the Italian nation. And one of the conditions I have agreed with these manufacturers is that no part should be imported from anywhere in the world. It has to create job and prosperity for the nation which is producing it. So it's understood, and officials in Italy have come to understand that we are giving a gift to the nation. And we have had meetings with the members of the parliament in the past few days. This technology will not be silenced the way it was done in Belgium. We don't release data who we talk to. We don't release how we do it, but we've done exactly what we did in Belgium. The gift is on the table and is warmly accepted by the Italian manufacturers to do it. If you want to donate to the foundation for further research, we always welcome. There is something which is going now in the foundation. I've asked, and hopefully as a knowledge seekers we can complete it, that if we can by end of March to produce the first flying system, because we have enough reactors here to duplicate and do things. And then we need to build the first spaceship made for the people, by the people, through their own science. All of you can come to the center, you can come to the foundation in short terms, to learn or to assist us with your expertise. And this needs a budget, which the foundation cannot support. So we look for contribution, or at least scientific contribution, to build the first spaceship flying system with control and everything before the end of this year. We know roughly the estimate of it. If we can collaborate with governments, we don't need financial support. But if we are going to do it as independent, as one nation, as a human race, then we need a lot of support. The knowledge will be given free, the systems are here, and you can come in. The knowledge seekers are right here with their own systems. So nothing is hidden from nobody. And this has to carry on. We have to allow this knowledge to be a reach of every man. And then it's his choice to use it or not, or how he uses it. One proviso, it cannot be used to harm no one. And that's the only condition we put to the Italians, and it's been warmly accepted. The situation which I explained to you today regarding the King of Belgium has already been discussed in detail in the past week with the Italian government officials. So it's not something which has come. We set it up. They were here around the same table as the knowledge seekers are sitting with us now. And the process, how it's happened and the way it's doing it is done in Italy, in Belgium, and there's possibility that Italian scientists can be eliminated by Mr. Hans-Brackenier too, is being put in the hand of the Italian police and Italian government, and is not hidden. We can submit enough documents to support what we're talking about. So if you have the expertise in any way, shape or form, and you are not looking for a huge financial rewards for your small knowledge, the door of the foundation is open to the world scientists. As I said, this technology will bring peace and unity. As much as I invited the scientists from the word we cannot repeat, we get disconnected, as we told, in America, I invite the Iranian space technologists on the same table. And I extend the hand of friendship and collaboration to our dearest friends and collaborators in Moscow and China. We've been in touch with them for long enough. They know our credibility. And now it's time, instead of talking behind back doors and nobody knows, to talk openly. So maybe in a few months' time, scientists from all the space agencies, the way we did some years ago on our logo, next to each other, will sit around the same table and solve this problem for good. Energy not free, energy available. And space not free, but available to every man. Medicine in a way that you can reverse most of diseases, available to every man at very little cost, but at the same time guarantees the international security, but without military. Police forces are needed to guarantee our lives from rogue elements. But the way I was explaining to our knowledge seekers yesterday, how come we don't have any more borders and military for different nations in EU? This no borders military has to extend throughout the world. And the money which is used to arm different countries with different excuses has to be used for prosperity of man. And we make sure of it. The way we capture CO2, very soon will show how we're going to capture and disarm all the weapons which carry any shape or form of death for other men, except what is used for security away from rogue elements. Criminals will be active. Government need police force, but nations do not need armies. Armies' time of fighting is over. That was the time of the Adam to now, and now from now on is one thing. Armies do not exist. We do not need armies. But we need civil protection system for our nationals. And this is what we will carry on. The spending money on tanks will not pay. The spending money using the metal in the tank to build a frame house for a man in Africa that he doesn't live in opens with freezing conditions at night with his children is essential. All we need to do, we don't lose employment. We just divert our old habit of war to peace, and very soon people will do it. As I said before, we have been elements in the peace talks in Northern Ireland. Her Majesty Queen's office knows. The British Prime Minister is fully aware of our participation in the Northern Ireland peace work. My wife is sitting next to me as I talk, and we have seen the elements which has come through the peace talks and actions in Northern Ireland that we handle to guarantee the peace in one nation. Now, we want the same peace throughout this planet. The British Prime Minister who collaborated, MI5, MI6 and Secret Services in British operation know of the activities which I signed myself into to guarantee the peace in Northern Ireland. And within 3 months of our signing papers, the process was guaranteed. And we haven't seen a single bullet. Why not in the rest of the world? I am prepared to open the documents to all governments to know how peace was achieved in Northern Ireland. And it would not have been done if agreements with MI5, MI6 and other security services was not achieved with my companies, which we saw the whole process through. So now, if we achieve peace in Northern Ireland, if we achieve peace in Europe, we achieve now again peace between Iran and the rest of the fake peace, because Iran was never in the position. It's a fake imaginary war which sold a lot of arms to a lot of people. Now we want the same process for world peace. Disarmament and the use of money from disarmament for betterment of man. How come that the continent which produces all the raw materials for the rest of the rich nations, their nations and their nationals should live the most poverty life in Africa? Now it's time to put money back where we took for too long. Next question.
Thank you for that, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, this is Luciano. I have a question regarding the...
Luciano, let me say one thing. Ask Mr. Tony Blair. I'm prepared to submit documents to any position to show our involvement in Northern Ireland peace talks. And Northern Ireland, not the talks, but action which led to the peace. Not many people can do such a thing, and I don't know anybody who could actually perform it. I put the life and the life of my workers, my staff, around my companies around the world to guarantee peace. It wasn't done by one nation. It was done collectively by a number of nations which had nothing to do with England to guarantee the Northern Ireland peace. And now, if there is a doubt, it just takes me one telephone call and the release of papers. On the other hand, we have guaranteed if any attempt made on my life, papers will be released, which puts a lot of nations in thinking why they did such a thing. We don't make threats. We deliver it, we show our technology, and we can show the rest. Ask your question.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking that you finished the previous sentence. So the question is regarding the second part of what you showed about making nanomaterials. So in the second part, you was putting an iron mesh in the second box and putting, let's say, the copper wires with the oxide. And after that, at like 5 hours, you was discharging the copper wires. So my question will be the iron mesh. I'm assuming that it was just a common ground.
Yes, correct. But okay, what you have to do, because we discussed this, we talked about this in a very passive way with the knowledge seekers. I think I put the information in the presentation of Fukushima in the correct way, but some people couldn't understand it. When you use the voltmeter, you introduce the current drainage through your core.
Right. So hello? I was assuming that the iron mesh that you was... Yes, I hear you. I was assuming that the iron mesh you was putting on the bottom of the second box... Okay. Yeah. We still have connection? Oh, okay. So I will proceed. I was assuming that the iron mesh you was putting on the bottom of the second box is just to create a zero potential in respect to the top of the copper wires, so you can increase the production of nanomaterials. This is correct?
In a way, yes. Yeah, in a way, yes. But in a way, the wire mesh on the base creates a new environment in the core. In a way, you close your core. The wire mesh creates a new plasma condition in the container. You have an enforced condition when you put it in the hot caustic. That's an enforced liquid condition. When you put it on the wire mesh, you create a soft to allow the growth. When your liquid is in your core, the pressure of it is too much for the nanomaterials. They produce, but they cannot flake off, or they cannot become gravitated to each other. When you put it in the empty with a plate, you allow the growth. You create a new plasma condition in the environment. That's why you use a wire mesh. I used to put it directly on the floor of the container, but I found that when you use wire mesh, you reduce the creation of oxidity to create oxides. Secondly, the environment in the core stays very balanced, and the growth is harmonious, is the same across the whole core. You create a balanced condition. This has an advantage that when you run your reactor, the plasma stays stable as well. This serves, you understand the process further on, that because you produce, if you turn your core upside down and produce caustic, you block it, but you find out at the same time the nano layers in the bottom of the pot are totally from the top of the pot. But the way you do it upside down from the beginning and the way you put it on the mesh, you find when you run your core, you'll have a very beautiful balanced plasma. It has a lot of advantages. You will learn as we learn.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. The last question is regarding that box with the electrodes from mesh and copper. As you said, that it's producing some electric power, capturing the CO2. So my question is, while the water is going to saturate with the CO2 in the gaseous state, you have to remove the CO2 to continue that, or is just saturating and the process is stopping?
No, you don't need to. It'll be natural process. The natural process is while you put your wires or core into the second container, because you put some of the caustic water from your original container at the bottom to keep the environment moist, you will create a new plasma condition. I think Merck has taken some pictures when we did when we tried the first batch of nanomaterials we tried to produce. We have about 4 pipes. 3 pipes were away from the wall because the way the container was put, and one pipe was near the wall. And all the wires near the wall were not, creating coating the same as the ones which are further. And when we took the pipes out to put them in the empty chamber, we still could see the difference in coating from the one which was near the wall. So even the gravitational magnetic field, which is near your core of a wall, will affect the production of the nanomaterials on your system. And I explained that when we left the lab, that this is the reason. And even when it was left after a day or so, when we went back, we see the same configuration. How you place and where you place your even containers when you're making the coating will affect the coating in your reactors. So you do it in the middle, that is a balanced formation. If you have a long core, a long container, test it. Put material on the wall side and away from the wall, and you will see the coating on each one is totally different. So by putting a plate at the bottom of your reactor, you have that condition. You create a balance.
Yes, I understand. Thank you.
Next question.
And the last question is regarding that box with a lot of compartments that you were saying you was using to create liquid CO2. So you put the electrodes inside and you fill it with water. At that point, the system will start to attract CO2 gas from the atmosphere into the little compartments. So in time, the water will saturate with liquid CO2. So my question is, you need to remove that liquid CO2 to enable the compartments to work, or just when it saturates, the water it saturates with CO2, the process will stop?
First of all, we don't fill in the compartments with water. It looks like water, but it's not water. I have explained that to our knowledge seekers, because this is the same process as your body producing different fibers and skin of a muscle or your skin. So when we do the process, the knowledge seekers will release the video of it in the next week or two, what is in that container. But on the other hand, through the experiments, we have learned that if you can allow the wire, first of all, the wires are two different wires from one compartment to another. So you make interconnection between one compartment to another. One side is a nanomaterial and one side is a different nanomaterial. And if you hang the wire in a position, you will see that the steel literally goes to the bottom. And your coated copper wires will stay clean. If the GaNs, the cloud white, covers the wire, your system is over. You block it. You, in a way, cover it with you seal the holes that it can lead to, or they lead to creation of the CO2. So if you can make a system which, like a tubes, that no GaNs material can sink to the bottom, you can use these systems forever and use the energy to produce for whatever you need. If you look at the picture of the CO2 production in book, I think it's book number 2, I think it is the CO2 in, you see a 5 liter container which I'm holding, and you see a misty, what do you call it, cloud at the bottom of it, which is all CO2. That's how it works. They sink to the bottom. So as long as you can keep the wires away from any new material which is getting converted from gas to GaNs, you can carry on for years and still produce energy.
So
okay, thank you so much. I think that this clarified the issues from the last one.
I think knowledge seekers will video this process, show you how you convert gases into GaNs. And they will explain that they have to test it, and it's their gain knowledge that we all learn from. But it's not water. I wish it was water. It would have been very easy. They're all smiling.
I got another stupid question then. What I'm doing is exclusively copper wires with KOH. And always when I do the first process, I end up with something white at the bottom of the container, the plastic container. Is that some kind of a GaNs?
No, it's your salt. If you see crystallization on your electrodes, this means you have put too much in, you got carried away.
No, it's on the bottom of the container. It's not on the wires. It's
the same.
Same thing.
It's the same.
So I use too much KOH.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That clears.
Any other question?
Thank you.
Mr. Keshe, this process is the same for aluminum, or is it a little bit different?
What do you mean by aluminum? What process?
The coating process.
Yes, if you go back on the video of the Fukushima, you see a radiator on the third part that is coated. But the problem with aluminum is that the process is very rapid and it eats into the metal. Something which we did in the last workshop, I don't know, I think Merck has videoed it, when we opened the batteries to separate the copper foil from the aluminum foil. You can material. So you get a composite oxidation layer, which gives you a spectrum of absorption of materials. For example, if copper allows you to do a CO2, when you create a composite layers of nano layers, you absorb or you convert copper plus CH4 and plus something else, maybe a poison. So composite first step, it should become a natural process for everyone. And we got to measure what does this at the end absorb. Maybe some absorb harmful poisons. The copper coating with the nano layers and the conversion of CO2 to gas and CH4 is because the porous gaps in the p-n junction of the copper is equal to stone. Because if you get the atomic structure weight of the copper, and if you look at the CO2, and then understand there could be an addition through the holes you made, the gravitational field created in gaps is equal to CO2 or CH4, or a combination of them. So you absorb these materials with a copper oxide. When you have a copper and aluminum mixture coating, you absorb a bigger spectrum, and then you can add zinc, you can add anything in your coating process. So when you open the batteries to strip the copper strips, use the aluminum layers, wash them cleanly, the chemicals which is between the two plates, and you can use them in the production of composite materials. And these are aluminum, they literally boil to nothing, you don't get any of it. But the vapor of it as a nano structure attaches itself to your material for further use in absorbing poisons or whatever from the environment.
So it's just finding the right combination then for what you want to create.
Exactly. I have explained this in a dynamic shape form for dynamic reactors too. Because we have a number of reactors here, I have shown the star formation to the knowledge seekers this week. So the star formation is a mother center and 3 reactors in 120 degree separation. And if you have different magnetic gravitational fields in different reactors between the reactor, satellite reactor, and the mother reactor, you can create an environment between the two, for example, that you can only change the energy into oxygen, where at the same time, in interaction between the 2 satellite reactors, you can create a condition where you can extract, let's say, aluminum. These are the techniques which we start to teach here, and how it's done that in the space. You can, the way you use composite materials, now you use composite fields to produce matter in the space. And it's very easy to do using your mother and satellite reactors. That's one is dynamic and one is a static system.
It's a whole solar system.
It's the universe, it's your body. One is your kidney and one is your bladder and one is your liver. Wherever they are, just because they are separate doesn't mean they're not doing, even they interact with each other. And their fields decides one what the other observes. Even if you were, if you in so many ways understand the process of prostate cancer, which goes directly to the hip bone, you will understand why even it's the same process. In the institute, the way we work is we don't talk about space technology, how the reactor can be used in conjunction with each other for motion. When we discuss something, we look at the same principle, the same concept to be used in the medical side, to be used in the material side, to be used in the energy production. So we learn a spectrum of similarities. Then we don't become narrow-minded that we understand the energy. In the future, you should know everything in the space that you can guarantee your survival. And it's the same in the jungles of Africa, or if you're a poor man in the city of Brussels. You should be able to feed yourself and your family and protect them at the same time, know what you can do with it. So we teach the spectrum of the teaching. Next question.
I have a very punctual one. The CH4 in the form of gas could be oxidized to use it as a fuel, or it just can be, sequestrated in the land.
All the nano-gas material can be used in different shape or form for fertilizer. If you understand the process of what the fertilizer does. I explained this before. You put fertilizer which is made in nitrogen on the land. And you say we put fertilizer, we get more crop or we contaminate the land. In fact, the fertilizer doesn't do anything. The nitrogen is used to speed up through centralization, the ionization of the hydrogen and the release of the energy of hydrogen to the plant. Plant doesn't eat nitrogen, but the plant uses the centralization process. Hello?
My question was from the point of view of the fact that the liquid CO2 is accumulated and the liquid CH4, this have to be somehow safely disposed in a certain way.
No, it is part of your body. No, this is part of your body. This is what I was trying to explain. You can use the CH4 or CO2 as a fertilizer. And in a space, if you know how to combine it together, it's the food you need. As I always say, would you like a steak or banana? It'll be made from the CO2. CO2 is the easy way of your own natural body in acquiring energy. You know, this has become a habit of us. What we don't understand, we get rid of. But we got to find to understand what actually it does, that we can use it. Space is not a dumping ground.
Only for the next workshop.
Pardon?
So probably we will clarify this in the next workshop.
Yes, we go in more detail. I won't do it next workshop. I'm a listener. We have enough expertise here. They have to explain to you. We try to organize the next workshop for next Thursday, if possible. And that is the time you ask questions from the knowledge seekers. I'm on holiday. Next week is the festival week in Italy, huh? It's carnival time. They are working and I'm on holiday. Any question?
Okay.
We have holidays.
Mr. Keshe, can you hear me?
Yes, ask the question.
I have a couple of questions. The first one I would like to ask is about one of the friend here in Chinese group. They want to know if the layer of the reactor is hydrocarbon nano-layering.
No, it's not.
No.
It's a copper. It's copper.
Okay.
It's a copper. It's copper.
Okay.
You might find some hydrogen, oxygen, or carbon in it, but the material is made from under layer to the top layer. This is what I explained in the last workshop. Maybe you missed it. You don't paint the layer on. You build the layer from underneath up. So the material.
Okay.
Pardon?
Next one. The next question is about the KT liquid. Does it possess the function of oxygen nuclear fission?
The KD liquid secret is out. We showed it in the Fukushima. It depends what you want to mix in it. That becomes your liquid. There is no KT liquid. We kept it in a way, but you can choose a lot of different things to do. One of the things you can do in China is you can use this for cleaning up the rivers, literally like a fishing net. We have had a request, and we have collected some water this week from an organization which works with production of cheese and yogurt. And we are given a few liters of water, contaminated water with the fat or whatever. So we hopefully build new materials, make new materials to see that we can convert these or clean up these waters to whatever plus drinking water, or clean up enough that it can be put on land. And when we gain that knowledge from the material we receive, then we'll share it with you, that you can repeat it in all the waters around the world, especially in China. I understand the problem there.
Okay. Another one is about the how to confirm what is the element of the nanomaterial on the first layer. And
it's copper.
If you use
it's
a bar
copper.
of,
If you use copper, it's copper. If you use steel, it's steel.
Well, if we use a bar of pure gold with the same technology, will the nano-coated material be of the single substance of gold? In other words,
yes,
nano-coated material of pure gold?
Yes, we've done this before. If you go on the Keshe Technologies website in the archives of the internet, have we put that paper in the set, the pictures of the nanomaterial? Mark, did you put the picture of the nanomaterials in the scans?
We will put it.
We will put it on. Yes, we've done this before and it's done. Your gold becomes nano-layered of what do you call it? Of gold itself, not of another material. And they say you cannot do anything with gold and it never oxidizes. But if you carry on the process the way we done, in the picture we've used is a silver and gold. It's an Egyptian bird. And we have shown both being oxidized, the silver and the gold. And somebody, a stupid guy in Germany, wrote, use a meter, you don't know what you're talking about. Now you know the secret, you can do it. But to oxidize gold, you have to use a slightly different composition of liquid. At the same time, if the if my old friends in Diamond Bourse of Antwerp listen to this presentation and the Fukushima, a few of them will have a sleepless night. Because we have shown you can coat zirconium and it'll present itself as a pure deflawless diamond coating on zirconium, which even the latest machines cannot show. If you are in the diamond business, I was explaining this again to the knowledge seekers. There you see new color diamonds in the market put in by the Russian diamond dealers. These new colors come through part of the development of this technology, vacuum condition. And I had to assess this for people in the Diamond Bourse of Antwerp, how the new colors are created, and show them we have a reactor which could replicate the same technology, but that's the secret of the Russian diamond. And say it's a secret, but we confirm the technology is correct and it can produce new diamond colors through the gases, minute atomic molecular different gases which are within the diamond which create the new colors. It's the same process. You can produce diamond, even the diamond machines can separate from reality. But these are nano layers, you cannot build blocks of it at the moment, but we can teach you how to do it in the future. You can make 20, 30 kilogram diamonds if you like in a few years' time. The thing is, you have to understand the difference between a diamond. Let me explain to you. You have to understand the difference between the diamond and diamond lattice structure. Diamond lattice structure is a way that stops the conductivity. Diamond shape is the same. If you look at certain sugars, certain elements in your body, and certain vitamins, you understand they carry diamond lattice structure. That the element, when you eat it, creates a barrier and you don't feel the pain because the neuroinflammation is literally blocked by a diamond structure, which you consume. There is no difference between the working of human body and how you coat your gold and diamonds and copper wires. When the carbon in your body changes, becomes a resistor, behaves like a diamond. And then when a slightly different pressure is used, it releases the information as a conductor. Again, different orientation, slide in orientation, which will tell you if it's cold and warm. It comes through the magnetic field conversion. So the same carbon decides you feel if it's cold or it's warm. And if there is a confusion in your body in the process, when it's warm you feel cold because the diamond structure has orientated slightly different in a different direction. We have seen this in coma patients and especially in MS condition. We developed a test that you can do it with a cold water and hot water, and the person does not see the difference because there's a confusion in the measurement of the orientation by the brain, and then it takes a little bit to correct it. It's the same if you can't smell and taste, especially the smell is the orientation of the odor. It's the same element. In one way is nothing, and other way, depending on its rotation or orientation, I should say, becomes a smell. And how this is compacted, it'll become different. The smells that you smell, good, bad, sweet, or whatever.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I have another question about how to make the nano-layered crop seed. If some of the crop seeds cannot be nano-coated, will liquid form the CO2?
Some of what? Some of what? Some of what? The word?
So the crop seed cannot be nano-coated. Will the liquid form the CO2 be used as their liquid fertilizer or any other measure that can be used?
I don't understand. You say crop seeds.
Well,
right. I think that's what.
The word I don't understand.
Nano-layers. Well, let me rephrase it. For the first person, that is how to make nano-layers on the crop seed.
On what?
Crop seed plant.
Seed plant. You cannot, maybe you can make nano layers on live entities because they are partially their cells. But with the crop, we coat them from the material which already produced. In a way, I've never tried this. It's a very good idea. Maybe I'll let you know by the next workshop. We don't know. The opinion of our knowledge seeker is it won't be there. But you ask a question, we never thought about it. We'll work on it and we'll let you know in the near future, maybe next 2 or 3 years or next week. It has to be a process. You can nano coat. What I'm going to show you, what I have in my hand that our knowledge seekers can see. We just brought up, my wife just brought up the silver and the gold which we have nano coated years ago because they are kept, and we've shown these on the pictures. And at the same time, we have a 5-carat zirconium which is coated with diamond layer. And this ring is in my hand at the moment. We can see it as a knowledge seekers. I hope I can show it to you one day on the camera. This stone we took to the diamond bourse. They tested it. They said it's pure, flawless diamond. The only condition I put on it was you can't weigh it. And when it was weighed, it was a zirconium weight. But it's actually diamond. The top layer is orientated because of the process to show itself as a pure diamond. And we've done the same thing with silver. In fact, if I can take this material to a shop and hand it over across as a 5-carat flawless diamond, I think it's worth at least about 100,000 euros plus. But in fact, it's worth a few pennies because it's just zirconium. So the technology, it's the first time we are showing it in public to the knowledge seekers. They haven't seen it even till today. And we have, that's mine, you can ignore it. It's mine, it's outside. No. At the same time, we have a silver which is coated. And it's the same. We've shown these in our pictures. The process is the same. You don't nano coat. You allow the top layer of the material to convert to make its own orientation to a diamond orientation. You don't coat it. You allow the matter to be separated enough that it changes orientation to show its resistive or crystal structure, diamond structure. There is no coating.
Well,
it's building up. I wish I could show you this gold and silver coating, which is not a coating, it's a conversion.
Okay. I have another one. Is about the. We heard you saying, I think on the 8th or 9th, I think 8th workshop, and you said about rewriting your book number 1. And that
will never happen. It's nice to do it, but I think especially Dirk will go crazy with it, because even changing into the second time rewrite, we wrote it slightly, we did the correction, took enough energy. Whatever additional knowledge gained, we will release it as a compilation in the future.
Okay. And some of the one of the in the friend here back here in China, and they have a problem of child with mental disorder or mentally retarded children, and something like autism. I would like to know if Keshe technology can reverse or change this kind.
We have done trials since 2006. The knowledge is very is not deep enough, but number of cases we've done, we can say you can change in certain cases the condition. It needs further development and research. We at the moment run a case in US. We're running a case in number of countries. We have about 6 cases going with this. And there can be some gains, and depends on what has caused the condition. You can make good differences. We have a case of twins we done years ago, and we've seen the change. Autism, it can be helped, but we have not achieved 100% recovery. We see good changes, but still it's a long way to go. The more we understand in the future, maybe we reach it. But autism can be helped with this process, because after 5 or 6 trials around the world, we have seen significant enough changes that they were not there before the system was used, and we see it after the system used. So yes, it can be used, but don't come back to us and say you can't do it. We are still learning.
Okay, got it. Well, last question. One of the overseas studying students in UK, they would like to know if Asian has a plan for the university students' interns for the better understanding of the Keshe technology during the summer holiday.
I think we're going to ask the knowledge seekers what we'd like to do in the summer holiday. Would you like to teach? We are going to accept new people. We are going to accept new knowledge seekers in next month or 2. But the problem is we can accept, I think, about 10 or 15 for the next cycle. But our target to be able to do something like 200, 250 for September. And internship comes, you have to find the sponsors. If people around the world pay for the living accommodation and running the whole thing, I don't see why. Why not? The problem is we are getting we received a lot of requests from people wanting to become a knowledge seeker. But in a way, we have to make a distinction between who can be here and why they're here. There were those who wanted to be here to learn how only to make the energy system and then disappear, and they become millionaires. So they are not around this table. There were those knowledge seekers who wanted to get a UFO and communicate with the aliens. They are not around this table, even with their PhDs and with their professorships. We had people who wanted to come here to take the knowledge to their governments as a spies or whatever. They are not here either. We had people who applied. There were newspaper guys who wanted to come in and see how we work. They are not here either. They are still in France, a couple of them. So knowledge seeker from now on will not be assessed by me who's going to be a knowledge seeker here on this table. We're all knowledge seekers. We teach directly. But from now on, the team of knowledge seekers here will decide who, as a team, would like to bring in to add to the knowledge. This is what I repeat. I'm retiring. I'm going to the background. The team of knowledge seekers around this table will make decisions for the future of who gets taught and how they distribute the knowledge in filtering it to the public or to the scientific organizations. We don't ask for any financial reward. If organizations would like to contribute in research or whatever, it's always welcome. But from now on, I'm what I call an old hat. The new science, the new knowledge seekers will make decisions collectively in who they want to be next group, how they're going to organize the next group. And I'll be just there to be as one, and we decide collectively. If you come to the center as we are sitting now, the whole structure of the center institute is set on no headship, which means when we sit around the table, we don't have anybody on the head. We're all sitting equal in all the rooms in the foundation are set the same way. So whoever comes on is equal to the others, and the people who are around this table who are learning and knowing what is to come, they make a decision collectively. Who's going to be the next, the knowledge seeker, and what he can bring on the table. We have people with different capabilities and abilities, and collectively we managed to sustain this program, even with all the problems which arose in Pacific for us. And these knowledge seekers, they left here about 1 o'clock last night, and they were here around about 4:30, 5 o'clock. Caroline, do not answer the phone, please. So the knowledge seekers, they are putting a lot of time, and they are usually here till 8, 10, 11 o'clock at night. It's not a holiday time. We are in a beautiful holiday area, but not a holiday time in the institute. Next question.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
Hi, Mr. Keshe.
Question? Yeah.
This is James from Hong Kong.
James, please contact me. I've been trying. I can't go on my net. I need to talk with you.
Yes. Okay.
Can I just say, because I mentioned it before, the gentleman has translated book number 1 to Chinese. So we have to...
Yes, I heard that.
Printed in China. I'll try. When I come back online, we'll speak.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, James. What's the question?
I was just going to tell you that I'll follow up on the pollution problem in Beijing with this professor in Beijing Aeronautic and Space Institute. So I'll get back to you on that.
As you know, James is the backbone of Keshe Foundation in China. He's done a lot of work. He's one of the most gorgeous men you can meet. I've met him. He's come to Belgium. We met him about 2 years ago. And with him, the Keshe Foundation is in a safe hand in China. And I thank you for all his work. Next question.
Dr. Keshe, I just wanted to say I sent some information to Dave about getting the press information out about the document, and it'll help a lot. So he'll get information to you.
Thank you very much indeed. What's the next question? Or do we stop?
It's probably a good time to stop now. We still have another private interview to do after this show here. So I think we should probably end it now and leave a little bit for the next workshop, let's say.
Next workshop next week, but not me, with the knowledge seekers.
Okay, great.
I think it's time for them to start sharing what they do and what they would like to share.
I agree. That would be.
There's one more question.
Thing. Okay.
Yes.
There's one more question in the go-to meeting. It's, could Mr. Keshe give more help hints on the easy way to create a vacuum, the one that you mentioned in book 1 in pages 1 to 52? He hasn't found any luck reading it. Some more hints, please.
Let me think of a way to do it in the next workshops.
That's fair enough. Any other questions, or should we let Mr. Keshe go for now? Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks very much for all your help.
Thank you so much, Mr. Keshe. That was a outstanding.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Speak later.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.